Yo, salute. What's good, nation? Thanks for pulling up. The names dropping for the coaching search in Las Vegas is dropping faster than the water in Lake Mead. There are some hot names still not interviewed yet, but there is one name surfacing more than others, and it looks like he might have the Tomlin effect. If you don't know what that is, stay tuned. We will talk about it. We have a special guest pulling up today, but first off, let's get into the chat lives matter. See who's all in the building. Shout out Robert Pena pulling up. Appreciate you, my guy. Tony Chef, Shane Butler in the house. Rick Whitson, what's good? What's good? Appreciate all of you. So, without further ado, let's bring in my guy, Mr. Jeff from New England
What's
Boosters.
up?
What's going on, my guy?
What's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm in a good mood. Broncos are out. Chargers are out. I'm happy so far. 2 down, 1 to go.
Nice, nice. Right? Yeah, they didn't represent the AFC West very well at all, right?
Didn't expect them to, especially the Chargers. You know how it is with them. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
all
made the
the
playoffs. We made the playoffs. Yeah, do something about it now. Win one. Can't.
right, all the big talk, they had a pretty solid game throughout the season, but if you can't carry that run game throughout the playoffs, you're not going to win in the playoffs without a run game. And as we've
No,
seen from the two teams previous, the
no
the
luck.
Tex, the
No
Texans
shot.
the Texans got their run game going, and Nixon was on fire. And what do you think, C.J. Stroud? Showing the wheels.
Dude, he had an amazing game yesterday. He's got a tough matchup next week against Kansas City for sure, but they could still pull it off. You never know. I
Hey,
mean,
anything can happen with all the rest they had. I mean, uh, sometimes that delay. Shout out everybody pulling up. Sometimes that delay will get to you a week off, and 2 weeks off, right? Because
yeah, well, they
they
made
don't,
mention of it at the end of that game when they said, Chiefs haven't played in 20 something days if you look at it because they didn't play the last game of the season. They've already had a week off. They didn't play this weekend, so now they don't go again till whether it's Saturday or Sunday next week. So it's like that's a long stretch,
and
you know.
Patrick Mahomes hasn't looked great.
No,
Yeah,
and he was a little injured at the end, before the last game he actually played, he got kind of banged up. So that's only good for him, unfortunately, for us, as non-Chiefs fans. Hopefully he doesn't come back full health and ready to just roll.
well,
Excuse me.
the way they looked at the end and the way the Texans defense was looking, the Houston Texans, that defense looked very, very solid. So
Oh, they looked
shout out to
unbelievable
them for
yesterday.
pressuring Herbert and making him make mistakes because he don't usually make mistakes, and they did a good job of pressuring him. If they can contain Patrick Mahomes from being mobile and getting outside the hashes and running, they have a damn good shot, I believe.
Yep, yep. It's going to be an interesting game for sure. I'm excited for that one. I just hope not Tennessee, Houston, comes fully prepared. And the good thing is for them is they got the momentum right now. KC really doesn't. KC's, like you said, they've been sitting stagnant, so they can only build on what they just finished yesterday. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and when you close out the season getting spanked, I know they didn't have most of their starters in, but getting spanked like that by the Donkeys just it's not a good sign going into the playoffs,
No,
especially the way a lot of these teams, where defense was the question, their defense is stepping up. So we know they got a great defense, but their offense is the question.
yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be a good game. Next weekend, you know what? The divisional playoff rounds are always good because I mean, you narrow out you weed out the teams that really did they really deserve to make the playoffs. So like all these wild card games, you're getting rid of the teams that really shouldn't have even really been there. You know, the only one that I think that's got a good shot to go further on the NFC side is Tampa Bay's a scary team. Now I'm looking forward to that game. That's the one after this one tonight. So that's going to be a good matchup.
if Baker can just not turn the ball over, you know, they do have the defense and the team to come back from his turnovers as we've seen all season long, but he's got
Hmm.
to hold on to the ball. It's playoff time. You can't turn the ball over in playoff and, you know, playoff time, you're not going to
No,
win games. So no matter how good your running game is or your defense is, you definitely can't turn the ball over. But yeah,
no,
they're a scary team. They got a dominant receiver, you know, a dominant run
I
game, a
love
good
it.
O line, and a quarterback that you never know. He could,
Yeah,
you know, he could
exactly.
throw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, or he could throw for 4 interceptions and no touchdowns. So
Yeah,
with
you know
Baker,
what? And
you know,
I look back to the game when we played Tampa Bay, and you could see it in Crosby's face how aggravated he was getting because as many times as he was in the backfield and had a chance to grab Baker Mayfield, he just couldn't get a grip on him because he's a wiry little bastard,
yeah,
you
yeah, or
know.
he
And
had
you
his
could see
hands
the
on him.
frustration. Yeah, you could see the frustration that he just couldn't get a hold of him. You know, you think you got him, and all of a sudden he just does one little juke and he's by you. You know, so it's like,
We've seen that a lot with Max. You know, a lot though. Guys just one sidestep and throw
yep,
the ball, and he's so far by him he can't get back into play. So yeah, that's rough on him. But man, what
yep.
do you think about this coaching search? You got uh, Ben Johnson. You know, has he been Mike Tomlin? I don't know if people know what the Mike Tomlin is, but you know there was back in the day when he got the interview, it was pretty much he got the interview and he pretty much had the job, and they interviewed a bunch of
I
people, but it was pretty much nonsense. So it's looking Ben Johnson is that way. The I don't know if anybody's seen Hondo Carpenter's report that came out. Breaking news from Hondo Carpenter, which he usually doesn't, but he said he pretty much got the rundown of the interview with Ben Johnson, and him and Tom Brady really hit it off. They, have the same mindset when
yep.
breaking stuff down of, where they want stuff to go. So it seems like he's definitely the front runner. And, for a lot of people that said we don't have a chance to get Ben Johnson, I said, if Tom Telesco was out the building and they give him what he wants, why wouldn't he want it? Money's not an issue. They made that
No,
very, very clear. If he doesn't come to the Razors, it's not because of money. So it looks like this man is you know, might be Mike Tomlin and might already, have that job pretty much racked up if he wants it. That is the question. He still has the Bears interview, which has Caleb Williams. That is a big thing over there. But you know, what do you think about Ben Johnson?
I would be extremely happy if it was him. He's one of the ones I really was hoping we were gonna get. I know my heart was set on Vrabel at first, but last weekend, as soon as the Patriots fired Mayo, I knew us getting Vrabel was going to be almost impossible. And the Patriots announced it today that Vrabel is the guy. That's who they're hiring as their head coach. So he's off the market now.
Yeah, I already knew that. I've been
Yeah,
saying, on my show
yeah.
for a month now, pretty much that Vrabel was taking that job if it came open, and as soon as it came open, pretty much
That was
everybody
that,
knew
that
that.
was pretty much a no brainer. You knew that's who they
Yeah,
wanted to.
that's his dream job, and it was funny that all these people saying Vrabel's going to be the next Raiders head coach didn't even get an interview. They didn't even talk about him, and
They
then
didn't waste their time. There was no sense in it. You knew that was the first interview he was going to set up was with New England. They offered it to him after the interview. They did their Rooney Rule thing that they had to do, and then they just went and hired him. So I mean, it's a smart move on their part. You get the hot commodity off the list right away. Because that's what
right,
other teams definitely wanted. Ben Johnson's the other hot commodity right now. So the only downside to saying that that's who we really want and that's who the Brady and Mark Davis are going to want to go. We got to wait now before it can finally be announced because we can't do anything. We can't confirm it with anybody until the Lions are out of the playoffs. So now we got to wait till next week's game. You know, do I want them? I want to see them make it to the Super Bowl and possibly win it. But now the selfish side of me being a Raider fan is I want Detroit to lose next week so we can get him hired, get
right.
him in the building, and get the ball rolling for the rest of this team because I don't want to lose any more time.
It was
I want to be able to get shots at good OCs and DCs and a GM so we can now start. thinking free agency, draft. Let's start that process now.
Breaking news: Jordan Love just threw an interception for a touchdown, I do believe.
I thought this game was going to be a little bit of a
I
closer game.
don't know if he was down or not, but I think he might have been down. But man, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
No, you're good. You're good.
let's get into this chat real quick. Courtney, welcome. Appreciate you. The real Gilbert, what's good? What's good? I don't know what that means. Raider Paul, salute. Appreciate you pulling up. What? I don't know what that is.
Next,
Yeah. Crazy people. All right, so we got most of them. Chef says
No, it's up, Billy Davis. Asylum's in here too. It's up, Asylum.
Asylum, Billy Dave. I'll get to most of them. Still have a lot to scroll through. We're way
Yeah.
behind on the chat. Asylum, appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate you pulling up. My man says, how did I know it would be live after the Pats hired Vrabel? Must be talking to you.
I was actually on live earlier today. I went on for about an hour during the first game, and I just wanted to take a break. I was on too late last night. I was on for 4 hours last night. So
yeah, I heard you had a Wild Turkey. Appreciate you pulling up. I heard you had a hell of a show last night.
yeah, dude, that was insane last night. I did not expect that last night. That was nuts. The amount of people that pulled up for that. There was nobody else on, like within the Raider groups that I follow or Raider content creators that I follow. I didn't see anybody on.
My guy Lawrence.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna jump on. I jumped on late. I didn't go on until 11 o'clock my time. Figured I'd be on for an hour or two. But the amount of people that was still in watching it live, I'm watching the number just stay steady at a certain number and not moving. And I'm talking like it didn't dip below 60 for at least 2 or 3 hours. And the chat was just on fire last night with people just asking questions and making comments and just so much to interact with. I'm like, I couldn't get off the channel. I wanted to stay on, you know? Yeah,
you
basically was up to almost 4 a.m. doing this yesterday. So
yeah, you can't get off when it's blowing up like that, man. You gotta run those nights when you have them. It's not very often, but
I didn't want to get off, but I was kept hoping that the chat, that not the chat, but the viewership would have dropped it. Dude, I think the lowest I saw it drop was like 50. I'm like, I still don't want to get out of here,
Yeah, I was on there. I popped in for a little bit last night, and I was like, "Man, you got 60 people in here," and I was just about to get on, but I was like, "Man, I don't want to steal the thunder," and I had other things going on, and then I got.
You could have jumped in. You knew that.
I got a devastating phone call last night of some news that I didn't want to get, man.
No, sorry.
Yeah, so I wasn't gonna go on today, but I figured what better way to get it out of the system than go on and talk what I love more than pretty much anything is Raiders. But
true, I get you.
I talked about it before. Some people asked me, who the GMs I thought, and I know we still got Pete Carroll in the building, but that John Skytech out of Tampa Bay, I guess played with Brady in Michigan, and I guess him and Brady are very, very tight. It seems like. So this man's been all around the NFL, and he's put together, helped put together a bunch of teams. I guess from what Honda was saying, the man is very, very intelligent, and it's been way overdue for him to get a GM job. So look for him to possibly come in the building with a Ben Johnson. And that would be a dream job if you could get those three minds in the building for the Raiders, taking care of the draft and personnel. And golly, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of jumping on this Brady. How intelligent a man is and what a football mind he has. But if he just continues to bring in people, like he's bringing in, brought in the Jed Hughes, which is another.
That was huge.
A huge guy.
That was a big deal.
The Corn Ferry Tour, which is like the minor leagues, I believe, of the PGA Tour. So, and this guy has put together a bunch of huge matches in the NFL. Not to mention the Pete Carroll, thing, and he was a huge part of that. And bringing that up, Pete Carroll has yet to interview, but Pete Carroll has a lot of a long, long, long reputation with Jed Hughes that a lot of people know he brought him to Seattle, but what they don't know is like in '85 he was one of the guys that gave Pete Carroll one of his first jobs as a defensive back for Minnesota when he was running the defense over there. So they go way, way back a long, long time. And there's a reason Brady brought him in and why Pete Carroll ended up on that list. So I know Ben Johnson's, top number one on that list right now, but
Yeah.
watch out for Pete Carroll to,
I wouldn't be upset if it was Pete Carroll either. I know a lot of people are like, well, how old is he? How many years are we going to have him for? Okay, I get that part, but he's just got too much experience, too much knowledge. He's built winning teams on the college. I mean, he's won a national championship. He's won a Super Bowl. He's good. I like him as a character too. Even for an older guy, he relates well to some of these younger players too. I mean, you see it on the sidelines when he was with Seattle. Some of these younger players, I'm talking even like rookies or a couple years in the league guys,
but
that
and also
it's
you've
almost like
seen
it's almost like playing for your grandfather if you
you,
think
you
about it.
you see him out there still throwing 40-yard passes with the Seattle
Yeah,
players,
yeah,
and he's gonna be 74 years old by the time the season starts. So, he's 74, but isn't his girlfriend like, 30 or 20 or something? So the man is a very young 74. He's still very active. You see him, running up and down sidelines still.
yep.
So, and his knowledge, he was the part of one of the greatest defenses of all time, the Legion of Boom, you know, in Seattle, with Gus Bradley and Dan Quinn, I do believe. So, his knowledge of football, just having in the building would be insane. And if they're going that route, if they want somebody knowledgeable, a win now route, I think that's the man that's going to be Pete Carroll if they're trying to, win now. But if they're going long term and they're going to let somebody, mold this team and it's going to take, we're going to be probably miserable for the next, 2-3 years until until it comes along. But I think Ben Johnson's that guy if they're, looking for long
Well,
term.
and that's what I've said sometimes, like at the end of some of my shows. It's like, it was my final thoughts type of thing. I'm telling people that, fans that, just be patient. You're going to have to be patient with what's going on right now, because there's just so many questions that still need to be answered, so many different directions that we still need to go in. You know, so you got to have patience. If you're expecting us to turn this around within the next year and stop making play, you're following the wrong team because it's not going to happen. I don't care who comes in for a coach. We don't have the right talent on the roster to do that. It's all going to depend on what we do in free agent and draft and what type of schemes we're running. So, like, some of these questions you get asked when you do these shows, I mean, you can give your thought process on what you think should happen, but you really can't even pick a direction until you know who's going to be the number one guy as far as head coach and who he's bringing in as coordinators to see what their past tendencies are and what they do on offense, what they do on defense, you know, and then also what they like in drafts, like what they think, are they really going to address the needs, the immediate needs? Yeah, I know quarterback's an immediate need for us, but not the two that are in the first round. I would rather have a more immediate need like the cornerback from Michigan, the wide receiver from Arizona, and specifically the one guy I really want is Carter from Penn State. That's the guy I want. That's a guy that starts day one. He's playing opposite of Max if Max is still here. So you really can't get into the meat and potatoes of what really needs to happen this offseason just yet. We can talk about it, but there's no sure sign path for where we're gonna go. You
Well,
know,
I think with Ben Johnson, do believe he was a former quarterback, so he has that going. I think that makes guys like a Jackson Dart or a Riley Leonard, even that higher of a prospect, or even the guy coming out of Syracuse, what's his name? Jesus, I don't know why I just drew a blank. It was in my head,
I've
but
heard the name. I can't think of it for the
yeah,
life of
yeah.
me.
So
Somebody mentioned it the other day to me.
McCord. So there's a lot of intriguing quarterbacks that you know probably weren't on the list or high on the list that could be bringing in a guy like that or a guy like Pete Carroll. It could change everything. So
Yeah,
I think Russell Wilson was drafted what third, fourth round or something. And look, come
yeah,
on, two Super Bowl appearances. They should have won. I mean, they definitely should have won the second one. Uh, One of the craziest calls ever in the history of the Super Bowl. You're on the 1 yard line. You have Marshawn Lynch, and you decide to pass the ball.
yeah. Let's
So,
throw the ball. Yeah,
one of the most controversial people say, set up the NFL's rigged. That's where they started with that. Like, why do you not run the ball with Marshawn Lynch? That's one of the craziest things. But you got
because
to
the
look at
memes that came out after that, it's like, Marshawn interviewing to become to come over to the Raiders, and they're like, he's asking the question to the coach, saying, "Coach, it's fourth down and 25. What are you doing?" Oh, I'm giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch. You know,
Oh, I mean, every
fourth
time. And
and
then
5. What are you
you
doing?
got
I'm
fourth
giving the
and
ball to
one to win a
Marshawn.
Super Bowl down by 4 against
Yeah,
Patriots. And then like and you pass the ball. So, I don't know
yeah,
if that was an offensive coordinator call or a Pete Carroll call, but still, like the man made it to, I think, in 14 years in Seattle, the team was in the playoffs 10 years, 10 years out of those 14 years. So
and
when you look at
that's kind of impressive if you think about it. I
yeah, when
mean,
you look at that impressive, and also Pete Carroll is one of only three guys in the history of the NFL to win a national championship in college and a Super Bowl. The other two are Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer, I believe, out of Oklahoma. So
yeah,
that's a very very rare list right there. And yeah, I know the man's old, and probably if you're looking long term, Pete Carroll might not be the guy. But if you're looking to just try to build something and put something together, quick and for the next 2 3 years, that might be the guy. But also you have to look at age, and as healthy as he is, it might not matter, but it could come into play. Traveling all over the United States, that's a toll on somebody for sure. And where he's at and the job he's doing now, he don't have to travel with the team. So
yeah. What's up, Chris? See you in there, buddy. I was looking for you last night. I was on for a few hours last night. I
it's
thought you
the
ever popped up.
Raiders. What's good? Kevin Gibson, appreciate you pulling up. Fabrizia, what's good? OC Nation, appreciate you. Appreciate you. Um,
That's
man, I
another
was
name that everybody wants us to take. A lot of people want us to take too. Is Genty at number 6? Now, there's too many running backs in this draft to pick one at number 6 when you've got 3 purebred starters in a more needed position.
if you look
Yeah, I know
if
we
you
need
look at
running
a
back, but there's a ton of them.
if you look at, but yeah, there's a ton in this draft, but if you look at the history of, he didn't draft Marshawn Lynch, but as soon as Pete Carroll got there, he traded for Marshawn Lynch. That was drafted by the Bills, I believe, in the first
Yeah,
round.
that's who took
So
him
you
because I
know,
remember him being in Buffalo for a few years.
yeah, yeah. So I think he was drafted by the Bills in the first round.
Yep.
So and also Ben Johnson, and they got their running back Gibson over there is another first round draft pick. So if you bring in Ben Johnson, you could go that route. He can look at some of these quarterbacks and be like, man, I can work with this quarterback, because he said, in his interviews, and it's been known that he wants to build a team. He has to groom a quarterback. He's not looking to just bring somebody in. He wants long term, and he wants, his guys in there. So he's I'm sure wouldn't be mad with Aiden O'Connell. I mean, you got a pocket passer in Jared Goff over there winning right now in Detroit, and I think you could do wonders with that kid. For a year or two. Why
Yeah.
you green a rookie if you
Well,
bring in a
the
Riley Leonard or a Jackson Dart or one of these
well the
kids?
the other rumor, I'm sure you've probably heard it too, is if Johnson comes here, there's talks of possibly Hendon Hooker coming with him too, or him finagling to get Hooker to come here.
I don't.
You
I
know,
don't
I
think.
wouldn't be opposed to that
I don't
either.
think the Lions are going to let Ben Johnson go and let
That's
a
the
future
that's the
quarterback
issue.
go too. I think they're going to be a little bitter if he goes, and I don't think they're going to give him a Hendon Hooker. I mean, it could happen. Crazier things have happened, but that's just a wild take, in my opinion, for them to be like, okay, yeah, go to the Raiders here and take this quarterback with you to help you on your journey. Nah, I don't think they
Yeah,
like Ben Johnson
yeah.
that much. Like, that's
If
wild.
you see me keep turning this way, it's because my TV's right here off to my right, so I just keep turning and looking at the game real quick. It's not that I'm
Oh,
ignoring
no worries.
anybody or
Yeah,
ignoring
mine's
you.
right. I had to set mine to turn my setup around, so
I wish I could put it in
mine's
front of
right
me
in
because
front
then
of
I
me.
could still keep facing forward. But I got a shelf unit right here in front of me that I don't. The TV won't fit in there. It's too big.
OC Motion, appreciate you pulling up. I'm not gonna read pigs. Y'all just talk amongst yourself. I can't read these chats. They're going pretty fast. So, a running back will gain value in the draft.
Yeah, there's just that there's so many of them in this draft that are worth the shit. You know, that are
Y'all talk
worth a
amongst
pick, I
yourself.
should say, not worth the shit.
I wanted to sign Justin Fields. Yeah, I wanted to sign Justin Fields back then too, but we had Getsy, and that was never going to work. It didn't work out in Chicago, and why try to beat a square peg into a round hole? Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Move on. It might work with whoever they get now, but I don't know how that'll go.
I
Yeah,
mean, you,
I
you
mean,
at this point, you already know we're more than likely is probably like right now a 75% chance we're going to go into next season with AOC 12 as our starter. That's going to be the game plan because that's the only guy that's on the roster right now that's even worth anything. The rest of the quarterbacks, as far as they're all they're all cut bait, every single one of them,
well,
except for him. You know,
as you say that, if you bring in a Pete Carroll who might decide to bring in a Gus Bradley who just got fired, I do believe in Tennessee. His son is on the roster as a quarterback, and he didn't look too bad in preseason. He's very young. He's kind of mobile.
we never gave him a real chance, is
He
the
has a
thing. Yeah,
you know a pretty strong arm, and who knows, with a Ben Johnson, you might bring in the quarterback whisperer coach, quarterback coach, and turn that kid into something. I mean, it could happen. So
yeah.
there are options, and we still have Ritter on the op. So I mean, we do have options. I think most of those guys will be gone. I think I said it 2 years ago when AP was hired. This is going to be a totally new team. It's not going to look the same. It's just going to be a couple years as soon as Brady became part owner, and the Brady takeover is real. I thought it would be a little slower pace, but I thought it would be rough
Well,
trying to draft a quarterback and fire AP. But now you're drafting a quarterback, firing AP, and firing Tom Telesco. So yeah, it's
well,
it's going to be
I,
a
I,
wild, wild off season, man.
my thought process on the whole Brady thing right now too is, you know, his ownership wasn't approved until just before this season, the 2024 season started. Had it been approved prior to the start of the off season from 2023, number one, I don't think you would have seen AP be hired as the head coach. I think he would have possibly been retained to stay on the defense, maybe, but I don't. I think we would have been searching for a head coach at that point because I don't think Brady would have put his stamp of approval on um, AP as the head coach. But
Oh no,
again,
I think I
so
think
when
AP was a I think AP was a stopgap for sure.
yeah, and I've heard people say that too. Um, that like you have stopgap coaches, I mean, players. That was the same situation with him as the coach. But
You
the
know,
thing is,
we
by the time Brady got involved in the ownership and really was able to stop making decisions, everything that he probably would have had a big say in had already happened. The head coach, the quarterback that they brought in, all that shit was already laid out. So once they got further in the season and realized that this current system and current plan isn't going to work, and Mark Davis said, "All right, I'm giving you more control to do things and make the decisions." That's when the Brady effect went into high gear. And it's evident based on what's happened in the last week. It's just that a week ago today is when AP should have been let go, not Monday after Tuesday after he gives a press conference on Monday where it seemed like everything's okay. Because pretty
well,
much all the content guys that we know, they all jumped on Monday after the press conference, and everybody was happy and upbeat because all right, it looks like he's staying. Well, I
Not
mean, they
me.
were. Yeah, I
I
mean,
knew
it
better.
was going to show
I had that
continuity, if
feeling.
anything. Well, it was going to
I
show
had
consistency, if more than anything, that would not turn around and firing a coach right away.
well,
You
I
know,
had
so
that
that
feeling.
was
I knew once they said they were going to
yeah,
evaluate, Tom Telesco and AP separately. I had that feeling that you can't keep both of them, and they're
no,
not with what they're you know a couple of people have made a good decent report saying before the Raiders do anything, they need to find their identity and know what they want and what they're trying to establish. And I think they realized that when they brought in Antonio Pierce, that wasn't it. He wasn't the long terms, and
oh no, not at all.
and bringing in your long term coach, Tom Telesco, is not going to be the long term GM, because to get your guy in the building, you're going to have to give him power like you've done Gruden, like you've done Dick Daniels, and you're going to have to give that man his say. And Ben Johnson has been adamant about saying what he wants, how he wants to run it, and he knows what he wants, how he wants to do it, and I think it went very, very well with him and Tom Brady. So I think that that's going to be huge going forward.
Yeah, and I think it was a no brainer once they got AP out of there. I think it was a no brainer that Telesco was going to go because it's only makes it even more enticing for a potential head coach that's coming in for interviews if they know that they don't have to deal with the in-house GM that was already here, and they're going to have a say or involvement in what GM's going to come in next. You know, so I mean that's a huge selling point for a head coach looking to come here. You know, so getting rid of him, even though they put a press release out the other day saying that Telesco's job was safe, and then 48 hours later they let him go. You know, it's just we expect the Raiders to do weird shit sometimes because that's kind of the norm of what happens with this team through the years. This week was kind of like almost beyond weird that the way that they handled the AP issue. Um, and then you put out a press release saying Telesco's going to be he's going to be retained, and then 48 hours you let him go. You know, it's like, can we make up our mind what we want to do?
Well, I
You
think part
know,
of that was, being they're trying to keep stuff in house, and I think Tom Brady has brought that culture in to, I've made reports about other content creators, saying they have guys in the building, saying this or saying that, and so far most of the reports have been trash. And but some of
shocker.
them, yeah, some of them, have been right on. But come on, man, a wrong clock is going to be right, twice a day. So, come on, you can say what you want and say you have people in the building. But I said, my point was, if you have these idiots in the building that are really talking to people and really letting shit out of the building that should be in house, that doesn't need to be let out, that could be hurting the team, of tell them where they're going to go or who's coming in to interview, or which direction they want to go, or any of that stuff should be kept in house. And I think that has silenced since Tom Brady has come in the building. I think he's been like, nope. And I think some of the people they might have thought were talking, or flapping gums, are
Yeah,
gone. And it's not just coaches, it's not just GMs. They're getting rid of administrative, assistant personnel guys. They're cleaning house. So there's it's a big change, and I think it's going to take time, but it's well overdue in my opinion. Like we've just been a laughing stock of the nation, no pun intended, but not the Raider Nation, but the
you're not
nation.
wrong. You're not
We've been a
wrong at
laughing
all.
stock. And
You
if you
know,
look at the latest statistic come out, that there's only 3 teams that have over 290 losses. 3 of them are, 2 of them have 294 losses, the Browns and the Lions, and the Raiders are top of that, 295 career losses or history losses since 2020 or something. I don't know what the stat is, but whatever, look it up. But it's crazy. We are the biggest losing team like over the last 30 years. I mean, that's insane.
yeah.
And something has to be done. And shout out to Mark Davis. If nobody else says it, I'm gonna say it. Shout out to Mark Davis for continuously trying to get better. He hasn't been in the limelight. He hasn't been in the public like he usually has. He's really stepped back like he said he was going to, and let these people that he's hiring do their job. And I think he needs a pat on the back and a hand for a lot of people saying fire Mark Davis. This organization will never be nothing without Mark Davis, and I totally disagree. Like this organization was talking about being sold by his father before he passed away. So for him to come in and take over, and now it's one of the biggest. We're worth more than probably more franchises in the NFL. I think we're top 5 right now. So shout out to Mark Davis for continuing to just try to get better. And yes, everybody makes stupid mistakes, stupid decisions, but I think he's learned from the past and said, all right, I'm not the guy to make these decisions, and I need to get somebody else in the building that knows what they're doing to make these decisions for me.
I look at it this way right now. Mark Davis has one job, and that job is, you see this right here, this shield? It's to put the respect back on this shield, because right now we're not respected like we used to be. This organization has taken a hit through the years. So the respect needs to be put back on this shield and what that shield means to the players for this team, the fans that support this team. That's where his attention needs to be, is putting the respect and the fear back in the name, the Raiders. Like, teams aren't afraid like they used to be when we would come to town to play them, or didn't want to come into our house to play us, because we were just a scary team and we didn't take no shit from nobody. That mystique is worn off. That
Facts.
mystique needs to come back. The respect of the club, of the team, needs to come back. That's his first priority. Is he making that path towards that now? Kind of,
I
because he's
believe
taken
so.
a step back personally, because he said it many times. I'm not a football guy. I don't know football. You know, so he's doing it. I mean, what showed me he's willing to do this is when he brought in that outside agency with Jed Hughes. I mean, if you look at this guy's history and the coaches he's been involved with locating, for other NFL teams, and even in basketball, he's done it. You
Baseball
know,
too.
yeah.
Baseball, soccer, all over.
And,
Like
and
the
we're
the
not
man's
talking about,
been.
yeah, he just found them a job with a team. These guys that he's found these jobs for, they've got long sustained careers with these teams. Some of them are still in their position, and they've been successful. So this guy knows what he's doing. He knows talent. He knows how to help vet these right coaches for what you're looking for.
And,
And on
and pair,
top of that,
pair GMs with
yeah,
coaches. Like
and,
I
and,
made a joke earlier. He's like the Cupid of the NFL. Like,
yeah, pretty much. And the other thing you got to look at him too is his history as a coach in the sport. He coached as an assistant under Bo Schembechler in Michigan. Anybody that doesn't know who that is, go look him up, because the guy was one hell of a college coach. He was part of Chuck Noll's staff in Pittsburgh. He was a linebackers coach. Look at the teams that they had and the players that he coached during his tenure there. So the guy knows the sport. He knows what works, for certain positions, certain teams. So the guy is no, fly by night guy that's, out there finding people jobs to go work in a call center. This is a specialized field. So by them doing that tells me they're making all the right moves right now, which kind
and,
of impressed me, because we've never done this before,
and
where
and
we've
with
hired such a well-known person to do this.
and with Pete Carroll being, not thrown on anybody's list, which a lot of people are not, not seeing this, or not, nobody's talking about. Pete Carroll is not interviewing for a bunch of jobs, right?
No,
He's not. The Raiders, I think, are the only job he's interviewing for that I know of, and he wasn't on that list until Jed Hughes came in the building. So as soon as Jed Hughes came in, he said, "You need to put this man on your list and interview him." So how much Tom Brady and Mark Davis listen to this man, I think it's going to be a lot, because this might be a hot take and it might not, but when everybody was talking about Vrabel, being contacted by Tom Brady about coming back or coming and coaching or being a GM, I don't think that had anything to do with coaching. I think he already knew. He talks to, Bill a lot. I'm sure he already knows what his feelings are about North Carolina, and he's not going anywhere. I think Tom Brady was calling Belichick to say, who can I bring in to help me make the right decisions? And I think Belichick said Jed Hughes. And I believe that's why he became in the building, because it was, 2 or 3 days, 2 days after
What's up, Arnie?
everybody was talking about, he contacted Belichick to come coach for the Raiders, or, to come be in the Raiders building. And I don't think that was it. I think it was pretty much he was, looking for advice, saying, I'm not, I've never done this before. I have my opinion, but, who can I bring in to help me? And I think that's where that went. I think Bill said, check out this guy right here. And I think he brought him in the building. So, how much they listen to the man, I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, I
Christian
hope
Downs, appreciate you. Sorry.
I just hope that this works out the right way. I mean, like I said, with them doing this, just screams that we want to make sure we get this one right. We want whoever comes in as the coach to stick with this one. We don't want to. Because I'll tell you right now, the Raider fans, and I know myself, I couldn't. I don't want to sit through another set of rounds of bullshit like this. Can't sit through another shitty season of just inadequacy and confusion and what we're doing. Don't want to sit here and go through with the fucking looking for another goddamn coach. So that's why I think they're really seriously doing their due diligence and make sure they vet these guys properly. Like it, Mark Davis's issue when he hired uh, McDumdum, that was
Dick
a
Daniels.
spur of the moment. Yeah, that was stupid. That was one of the worst hires I think I've ever seen.
I think it was plans in the making. I don't think it was, spur of the moment, because, you know, somebody made a very good point, and I can't remember who it was, but I give him credit. I think it was Hondo Carpenter said he was talking to a GM. Maybe it wasn't Hondo, but, most coaches or most GMs have a list in case, the guy that they hired or bring in doesn't work out, or if they think at the end of the season, they're going to move on 2 or 3 months before the end of the season. The owner, the GM, whoever's up, assistant manager, assistant GM, all those guys already have a list of names that, if they decide to move on from somebody, they know who they're bringing in the building. So I think the Raiders had, a very short list, and I think it's growing since they brought in the Jed Hughes thing. But I think everybody has a couple names on the back burner for, just in case emergency break glass type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. I saw that asylum that the Raiders have absolutely zero interest in Dion, which is absolutely a okay in my book because I don't want him anywhere near this team. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, let's talk about
no.
that. I said before, and people laughed at me. I think it was like 2 months ago, on a live. I was like, the only way Dion would ever think about coming to coach in the NFL is if you guaranteed you drafted both of his sons. And people were like, yeah, that's never going to happen. And then what comes out a couple days ago? Dion just happens to say, well, and there was be a scenario, if I got to coach both of my sons, I couldn't turn that down. And I mean, who couldn't? As a father, I just knew in my heart that, come on, if you offer this man, I will draft both of
Yeah,
your
I mean,
sons, he's
I
not going to
get
turn it
that.
down. And,
Yeah,
nobody brought it up. Nobody thought about it. But then it's just funny that, he brings it out. And I think with Dion bringing stuff like that out, is he's just trying to stay relevant and stay in the media and, keep his name up there and throw his name, keep it in the fire, keep him in the news. I think that's all that is, because if the Raiders really were interested in Deion Sanders, he would have been tops on the list for an interview. And it's just like Vrabel, neither one of those
yeah,
guys have even been mentioned by the Raiders. It's just been all content creators assuming that, that's going to be the guy because of the Vrabel and the, Tom Brady scenario. But if that's the case, then where was, he didn't even get a call or didn't even get a talk. So
no,
I
no,
think that's wild.
yeah. It, I don't even understand how that even became a thing that people wanted to even seriously consider bringing him here. Um, yeah, I mean, he probably has. Obviously, he's got more head coaching experience than AP did. I understand that, but I still don't think that that would have been the answer. I mean, I'm telling you, we'd still be in the same boat, within a year. We'd still have the same issues, as far as, you know, w- I think it would be harder to get rid of him because he's so many people like him in general in the NFL. I don't, he wouldn't be a fit. It just would not be a good fit for this.
My
And
biggest
not for
thing
nothing,
about
Shiloh. I want nothing to do with Shiloh.
Charlotte,
If
yeah,
you
he's
think
not.
I don't want Shador, what makes you think I'm gonna want this? Gonna want the other brother too? Absolutely not.
Shiloh's
No
a
way.
UDFA at best.
If that,
Yeah,
jeez,
that's what I said at best. But
yeah,
my thing about Dion is, you know, a lot of a lot of fans cried and complained and moaned, and their biggest knock on Derek Carr was that he was a Christian and a preacher, and he was always pushing God on everybody. What does Deion Sanders do? Go look at his media. If you're not following Deion Sanders, go follow him because every day all he's talking about is Jesus and God, and So how's that going to go over? Nobody wanted Derek Carr because he was constantly, preaching the word or
yeah,
saying,
and
his beliefs and who his God was,
that doesn't bother me, but it's like,
it doesn't bother me
if
either, but
people
for
that
the
did have a
nation
problem with
that
how are you
always
gonna
complained
how you
about Carr,
yeah,
and then
how are you gonna handle Dion being there and him doing the same thing, if not even more
yeah,
vocal about it?
way more. Like he's always
Yeah,
posting about it, and which that's fine. I don't care, believe whatever. Like, but th- it's crazy for like people to complain about one guy and then do the same thing. And the same thing goes with GMs and coaches. We talk about, if you look at the draft, the draft we just had with Tom Telesco. Everybody gives the whole entire draft credit to Tom Telesco.
yeah,
Nobody says nothing about AP being in the building. Nobody says about nothing about Getsy being in the building, or all the alums that are in the building. All these people that go into this meeting and in this room. But then when you bring up a name like Pete Carroll, you're like, oh well, he drafted Richard Sherman. He drafted this dude. He drafted this dude. Like you bring up Ben Johnson. Oh, look what he's done to the Lions offense. But really, a lot of those players were there before he got there to the Lions offense. He just put the offense together once he took over at coordinator in 2022. So I think Ben Johnson, we might have to. I mean, if Brady's high on him and Brady says they break down film the same, then I'm good on that. But for running a team and being a head coach, a lot of he took over a good team. It's not like he took over, a beat down team like the Carolina Panthers and turned
yeah.
them into a playoff team. And I mean, the Lions weren't great; they weren't winning playoff games when he got there. But so that's another thing that kind of scares me going with young guys that just haven't been in that position. I mean,
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's a damn good coach. So,
Well, I
and
mean, and you gotta look at what he did with that team too. He took over a team that was just garbage at the time, and granted, I know he didn't do it alone. You had two good offensive and defensive coordinators with you. You had a GM that was helping you right the ship. And look where they are now. They're the number one seed, the odds-on favorite to make it and win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, he's and they're going to be good for a while too. It's not going to be a flash in the pan. They're going to possibly win it this year, and then you're never going to hear from them again. They've got the potential to sustain that for a little bit. They could be right back in the same position next year because I don't see many teams in the NFC being much better than them. Vikings could have just been a flash in the pan this season. Everything just worked out perfect with them, especially with Sam Donald in there. Well,
we'll find out in these playoff games coming up.
yeah. Let's put it this way. My thought is Minnesota's playing tomorrow night in Arizona against the Rams, right? So
Yeah,
if the Rams end up beating Minnesota, then that increases the Lions' favor of winning because I really think it could have been a rematch of Minnesota and Detroit again. From last week's, the last game of the season. We could have had that rematch in the NFC Championship game. it'd be one hell of a game, but I still think the outcome would be the same. It would still be Detroit beating them for two reasons. One, they're playing at home, and two, I just think Detroit is just so much better than Minnesota. You know,
Yeah, definitely made a huge difference. But yeah, somebody just said Sam Laporta made a huge difference. I mean, dude, if you look at the Lions offense, and I'm not knocking anything about Ben Johnson, but come on, he has two of the best running backs in Montgomery that they got in free agency last year. And you have Gibbs, you have, Armand St. Brown, which in my opinion is the top three receiver in the league right now, between Jefferson and uh whatever the hell his name over in Cincinnati. Between those three guys. So, and you have Laporta. So, man, these guys have a killer offense. And, a lot of those pieces were there. He had Jared Goff in the building before he took over the offensive coordinator job. So, I still have questions on Ben Johnson.
I still think he's the best option out there. It's either him or Pete Carroll. I know
Yeah.
Todd Monken, I think, is coming in tomorrow also for an
Todd
interview. I know he's
Monken tomorrow and Carroll Tuesday, I do believe. And those are two big names also.
mhm.
Like, we seen what we seen what the Ravens did in their playoff game. I mean, just nasty
Oh
work,
my God, yeah.
just running all over everybody. I got to turn this light on.
Well, it's amazing what happens when you've got a legit running game now for Baltimore because they never really had in the last few years. They never had a steady running back in the backfield that you could count on and trust every single time. Derrick Henry is just he's he's just a monster. I mean, he ran like he was possessed yesterday. Plus, I mean, he's a tough son of a bitch to tackle. He's no small running back. He's a big son of a bitch. You
He's a
know,
big dude. Was he six
once he
two or
makes it to
something?
the well, once he makes it to the upper levels, it's him against the secondary. Those guys are all a hell of a lot smaller than him. Once he's
It's like
past the
Derrick.
linebacker, he's golden. You
It's like
know,
Derrick Henry too. I mean, he's got those long strides, and he's fast, but he's still got those huge long steps because six whatever 6'1", 6'2". He's a bigger guy.
big
So,
man.
you know, for the people that said, that keep saying running backs are not a necessity and they're a dime a dozen and running back committee, I believe you can go running back by committee if you have, a decent quarterback that's mobile, that can run the RPO, that can run the play action. But you have to have two number ones like the Detroit Lions do, and you can run running back committee because obviously they show that you can 2,000-yard rushers every season. You can run running back by committee, but
Yeah,
when you look at what us letting Josh Jacobs go, I think that was Tom Telesco's worst move besides bringing in Gardner Minshew. I think letting Jacobs walk, and I still have a feeling in my heart that he knew what he was going to do to this team, and he was trying to rebuild the team in his vision, or he thought he had time or whatever. But I think that was the biggest mistake for that because watching Josh Jacobs, I mean, they're not killing it right now in the playoffs. His
no,
first playoff game, but man, it is. You just look at you know Travis Henry, what he just did, and people were saying he was washed up and done in the NFL, and the man just can't be stopped, like just killing it. So yeah, these running
well,
backs, I think running backs going to be a high commodity, and it's going to go
like
back up. I think Saquon and all those guys, Jacobs, were on the phone, doing their little Zoom calls or whatever, trying to bump it back up and stand their ground, but I think it didn't work last year, but I think all the work they put in, I think is going to pay off. Look for running backs, to be a big high commodity, and their salaries to go up a lot. I think this year,
yeah, yeah. The
6'3",
running back position is
247 or 5'0".
officially. It seems like they're officially. It's officially back. You know, the last few years it was more of a passing game. But the run game has become such a huge thing because you know why? Because defenses are getting better in the secondary and they're shutting down some of these receivers. You might still have your number one receiver playing well and getting all the points and stats and all that crap, you know, but without a steady running game, you become one dimensional if all you can do is throw the ball. So now running backs are becoming more valuable, and not so much just running backs in general, but it's almost like going back to the days of an every down running back, whereas before it was a lot of running back by committees, rotating guys in and out constantly. Derrick Henry gets out there. He doesn't. He rarely ever comes out. Same thing with Saquon. Whereas running backs in the past, they'd bring, you'd have specialty backs. Like this guy was good for, on first down. This guy's good on when we're going to go to a pass. This guy's a good third down guy, so it was constantly a fluctuation or a rotation of these running backs in the backfield, like Josh Jacobs in another example in Green Bay, he's an every down back for them. He doesn't come off the field often. He does come off,
Very,
but he
very
doesn't come off
seldom.
like in the past days. Even when he was with us, the year that Dum Dum, ran the living shit out of him. He had an unbelievable season that year, but he never came off the field. We beat the living piss out of him physically. You know, so
Yeah, he
it's
yeah he
interesting.
got way too many
Yeah,
carries for us. They
yeah,
should have. I mean, when they had Zeus too, they should have gave him more more reps. But Chris for Raiders says there's a I think he said it. Yeah, there's a lot of a lot of running backs in this draft, and I've talked about it a bunch of times on this channel. Is I think
shit ton.
late second round, third round, you're going to see just explode. Usually it's fourth or fifth round for running backs, but I think this year it's going to be a different story. I think third round you're going to see running backs come off the board like crazy, and probably
Oh,
a lot in the second round because watching these college playoffs, these kids are special, a lot of them, and
oh
there
yeah,
hasn't been a draft that I can remember in my 49 years where you can pick a running back, take
tough
your pick,
rapper.
close your eyes, spin the wheel, and take one, and he can be your franchise guy, like very, very easily. Like
Yeah.
they
Oh,
can
I see.
catch,
I just saw
they
Jason
can pass
mention
block.
Najee.
Like
I want Najee as a free agent. I'd love to bring him in as the veteran to groom these rookies that you're going to have behind him in McCormick. Because I don't see us getting rid of McCormick. He had too many bright spots this season. He showed he's got the ability and the talent. But I would love to bring Najee in as a free agent. I've been saying that for weeks now, looking at free agencies. And Chris was in the channel with me on Friday night when we were on with Turf and Rundown, and Turf brought up the list of all the running backs in this draft that are eligible to come out, and we were on like in up the list like in the 40s at the rankings in the 40s, and some of these guys were still like 220 pounds, 6 feet, running
yep,
4 4s, 4 3s, you know, extremely serviceable running backs. I mean, the depth is insane, even that far back. So, I mean, there's going to be running backs picked multiple times throughout every single round, all the way to the very end.
but I
This is
mean,
probably going to be one of the most heavily drafted running back um, class I've ever seen come out of college. It's
it,
insane how many are available and how many are serviceable to start or be spot players in a way too. I mean, you're still going to have guys that are going to end up being special teamers, but it's incredible how many running backs. Yeah, Scatabo, that's definitely the one I'm really hoping we can target.
yeah, I mean,
I don't want
Scatterboo.
Dempsey, I want Scatabo.
There's another guy too.
Hampton,
The
that's the other one I've seen a lot about too.
another sleeper to watch out for is Jaquindon Jackson out of Arkansas.
He mentioned that one too Friday
Yeah,
night. That's a name that
Jaquindon
came up.
Jackson. I mean, the
Yeah,
kid is big. He's strong, powerful, fast. I mean, he doesn't not wow you with the 40 time, but he's
yeah.
pretty good in pass protection. He can catch out of the backfield, like, and the man's every down back. He can definitely carry the ball
I'm not
anytime you want to give it to him.
I'm not sold on the whole Nick Chubb thing though. His injury history scares me. Um, he just seems a little fragile right now. As long as if we were to get him, he better come super cheap. He better not come in here expecting a shit ton of money. I think Najee we could get for a little bit less than what you would think because he doesn't come in with it's his contract year this year. This is the year he's playing for a contract with another team, Najee. And he didn't have a huge year like he has in the past because he didn't have to, because they had a quarterback that could move the ball. They didn't have to rely on him, so he's still and he also by doing that too is he's retained some extra mileage on him because they weren't running the crap out of him and they didn't have to.
Well,
Plus, they have Jalen Warren there too.
yeah, I was gonna
So they
say
had a relief.
they have Jalen Warren in there, so Warren got a lot more snaps than people were expecting this year.
Yep.
Yeah, he got especially on third down, that catching out of the backfield. But another thing for Najee Harris is the man didn't fumble this year. Not no fumbles. So, that's going to be big that a lot of teams look at. If you need a workhorse that can carry the load, dependable, and you don't have to worry about them turning over the rock. I mean, that's going to be definitely a huge asset because if you look at the running backs coming out in free agency, they've all put the ball on the ground. So I think that's going to be one huge thing that stands out for a lot of teams. To me, it would stand
Yeah.
out for me.
Yeah. I mean,
Devin Neal at Kansas, yeah, Devin Neal at
I've heard that
Kansas.
was another name that Turf had mentioned. See, I mean, when Turf and Rundown start talking running backs, I definitely listen because they know that position better than I do. I don't,
I played I
you
played running
know,
back a little bit in high school too, junior high and high school. So
I didn't know that. I mean, I look more towards like the O line, D line type stuff because I played offensive line in high school and in semi pro, and so I'm have more of a tendency to have a better opinion on an offensive lineman than I would
yeah,
on a skill position because I just like when people asking me questions about GMs this past week, I don't know enough about the GMs to really even have an input or give you a response. The only one I know of right now, and it's only because somebody mentioned it. I looked it up and I understood who he is that guy Agnew. Other than that, I couldn't even tell you about another GM other than ones that are already with the team somewhere. And Telesco, and only because Telesco was in our division with the Chargers and he was with us. I have weaknesses, and one of them is I don't know, GMs like who would be a good fit for us. And I'm not going to sit here and somebody ask me a question, go, oh yeah, this guy's a good guy, and I'm talking on my ass. That's just not me, you know.
yeah,
So I don't know enough about GMs to really get involved and talk about them. So that's why when I'm on shows and people start talking about GMs, you won't see me say much because I don't know, And
yeah.
I'll tell you right away, I don't have a clue.
I know a little bit because we needed a GM last year, and they were I was trying to find anybody names I could throw out there. Not that anybody is going to watch this channel and listen to it to change anybody's mind, but anything to not sign Tom Telesco, bro. I was just never big on Tom Telesco. For one, he was a Charger, which in the division, you never go in the division like that. It's just a bad omen.
Yeah.
Like especially when you're taking guys that are upper management like that your coach and your team got fired because they put 63 on. Like that's just from the jump is a bad sign. So I was looking at every GM you can think of. And you know um I know everybody's heard me talk about, and I don't know why he still hasn't got no interviews. This is crazy. But Mike LaFleur, the OC for the Rams. And
I
watch out
haven't
for
heard
the
his name
Rams.
mentioned anywhere out there right now, other than like
Yeah,
yourself and a couple other
yeah,
people on here.
except for me, pretty much probably. But you know, um, I don't know why he hasn't been mentioned, especially when there's a guy in the building, Ray Farmer, that they compare together. If as a GM who's been around, been there, done that as a GM, has done crazy things as an assistant over there with the Rams. And I don't know why those names aren't getting. I think Ray Farmer's got a couple GM interviews from a couple of teams, but I still don't know why Mike LaFleur is just not getting no looks. The Rams are my sleeper team to make the Super Bowl this year. Like, Sean McVay is just one of those coaches that if that team is healthy, they're gonna be in the mix. And if you get them in the Super Bowl with a quarterback, like they have Matthew Stafford, that doesn't really turn the ball over. If you give him time to throw the ball, he's gonna drop dimes. They have a solid running game. They have
Hmm.
one of two best tight end and receiver core. So they have a solid defense. And Jared Verse they just drafted. I mean, that kid is just a beast at linebacker, and you can't get by that guy running the ball. So the Rams are going to make a lot of moves, and I don't know why nobody's talking about those guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I know someone just mentioned it in the chat. Where is it? Jason Downs. That is a name I did hear. I will be honest with you because when it was brought up, um, the picture they used, he's dressed in a suit with the sunglasses. He looked like a CIA agent. It's what he looked like. I do know who that is. I don't know his full resume, but that is a name I have heard. Um,
What, Spy Tech?
whether or not he's on the short list or not, I don't know. But I did hear that name, Spy Tech. I mean, just the name alone screams, "Hey, I'm in the CIA," but I'm
Right?
not. It's just a weird name.
I could pull it. I mean, I could pull it up on the screen, but nobody's gonna really see it, I think, on this format. But I'll just go over it real quick. Spy Check in 2004 was Operation Intern for the Detroit Lions. In 2005, he was intern in Philadelphia Eagles. 2006, he was a college scout assistant for the Eagles. 2007 through 9, he was a college pro scout for the Eagles. 2010 through 12, he was director of college scouting with the Browns. 2013, he was Southwest area scout with the Broncos. 14 through 15, he was the national scout with the Broncos. 2016 through 2020, director of personnel. 21 through 22, vice president of player personnel. 23, assistant general manager, and he is currently assistant general manager for the Tampa Bay Bucks. So, I mean, that's a pretty long resume.
Yeah, it is.
So, like I said, the man's been
With some
around a
decent
long
teams
time.
too, not with a bunch of scrub teams either.
But what gives him the highest thing to be the GM for the Raiders, like I said, is he played with Brady in Michigan. So, they were teammates, and he was also the main reason Brady decided to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when he left New England. That was the main reason. So,
Hmm.
having that friendship, that long, going that far back, just for me, all signs point to Spy Check. And with his resume and the way him and Brady connect on football, have always connected on football. I
Yeah,
think and Brady said when he talked to him and interviewed, and he was in the interview room or whatever, and they started talking football, just the way he breaks down the game and the way he visions the game is one of the main reasons Brady decided to go to Tampa Bay instead of the Raiders. Well, besides John Gruden ex-nated and didn't want him. so the
yeah,
story goes. But yeah,
yeah.
so I mean, I think that dude's big on the list. Ed Dobbs, yeah, is another name out there. Reggie McKenzie's, another name floating around, still
What,
out
for
there.
us?
Not for us, but
Oh,
just
I was
getting,
gonna say, hell
getting a
no,
guy getting looks. No, I don't think he's going to get. No, not for us. I'm just saying,
hell
guys
no.
floating around out there getting looks. Yeah, that would be crazy to bring back Reggie McKenzie,
Oh my
right?
god! At that point, might as well bring back anybody else that we've had in the past for coaches, and it's just that just you know what? If we were ever to bring him back, that would just say, well, what I just said earlier about us moving in the right direction and the process we're enacted would just go from that's right out the fucking window because now that's just a stupid response,
I mean, I
you
don't think
know?
Reggie McKenzie did too bad of a job. I thought we had decent rosters while he was there. I
Yeah, I
thought,
just think he might have been a
I
little over his head. I think.
didn't he have wasn't he there when Del Rio was there? Wasn't he the GM with Del
Yeah,
Rio? It made us,
yeah,
had us
because
in the
then Gruden
playoffs.
came in
Had
and they
we
shit
had
show
some
them.
young players. We had that team going, and then Mark Davis decided to blow it up and go with Gruden, and that wasn't Reggie McKenzie's fault, but he had us in the right direction. Like we were really, really bad when he took over, and it takes time. It takes definitely, especially when you're at the bottom of the NFL when it comes to
Yeah,
roster, salary cap, money. That shit don't happen overnight. Like no matter how good you are. So I thought he did a damn good job, and just the way he was let go is how the Raiders have always done everybody. Come on, so this
yeah,
is how they do it. I mean, wasn't it Lane Kiffin was fired on a teleprompter or some shit by like back in the day? So
yeah, pretty much.
I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, Raiders do some
another
crazy
another
wild
another
shit.
great coach.
What you got
Shane,
outside of
slow
Tyreek
slow
Hill
down on
and
the
all
"Let's go
that?
Brady" is gonna save us and make us a good team. He's gonna help out. I'm not saying he's our savior. I will never admit that.
Well,
People that don't know me very well on here, I'm live in New England area. I've had to deal with the Patriots during their tenure as being a good team and Tom Brady and all that other crap that comes with it. I can't stand him. I'm coming to grips with the fact that he's part owner of this team and gonna have to deal with it as long as he's part owner. Still doesn't mean if he walks into somewhere I'm in, I'm not gonna punch him in the face. I still don't
Oh
like him.
yeah, I mean, the
I'm
Tuck
still
rule. You got to
talking
you
right in
got
his
to
nose.
admit you got to admit the Tuck rule was not Brady's fault. I mean, he was just a player.
No,
He didn't make
no.
the call. I still don't like it. He did take Super Bowls. I thought should have been ours with the team we had, and I thought we should have been on that upward spiral, and it just dropped us down. Put us in the dumps. After that, we
Yep.
couldn't get players. People we had left. Like
But
it was just a
you gotta
night.
remember when the year the Patriots made it to this that with the whole Tuck rule game, it was the season of 9/11 happening. Um, the team name is what the team name is. It was just scripted perfectly, to be honest with you. You know, everybody was super patriotic that year. American flags were flying everywhere because of what happened, and what better way than to have the Patriots win the Super Bowl? So it was one of those feel good stories. Wouldn't want to have the Raiders win it. You know, that just seems negative. Just goes
Right.
against goes against the whole storyline of you know wholesome and goodness. No, the Raiders, those mean assholes from Oakland are gonna win it. It just made sense though. Like, let's do what we can to make the Patriots win it.
Was that
I
9/11?
feel
Did you
to this
say
day St.
COVID?
Louis.
Did you say during the COVID year?
COVID yet? No, 9/11.
Oh, I thought you said COVID
It
during
was
the COVID year. I was like,
no
what?
20. It was 2001.
I
It
was gonna
was
say it
that
was way
season that
farther
they
than that,
won.
my guy. Like,
Yeah, I'm 17 and I'm learning a lot of stuff. It's all right, Shane. I'll give you a break. You're a kid. You're young. You're young.
yeah, Shane's a youngin.
Yeah, I've seen him on your channel. He's popped in on mine every now and then too, and some of the other ones I've been on. If
Raider
you
Ryan
can,
was good. Appreciate you, my guy.
so
Let's
man,
see. If you can help us get us to a Super Bowl and turn the ship around, I can forget about the Tuck rule. That's just me. I mean, yeah, some
I
people
would feel
can
that
like.
same way if I didn't live where I live.
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't matter. People can say what they say and feel how they feel, but I guarantee you, if Tom Brady gets us in the Super Bowl, nobody's going to remember a Tuck rule. That shit'll be out the door, and as you see at the title of the thumbnail, it says the new look Braiders, and
Yeah,
that's not a knock on Tom Brady. Not talking trash on Tom Brady, but I think it's going to be a good thing. He's taken over. He's making a name for himself as upper management instead of a player, and as long as it leads to good things, I'm here for it. I'm here, and it can't be worse than what we've been going through. I mean,
oh,
we've been
no.
so bad and so miserable as a franchise, as a team for so damn long that I mean, what's it gonna hurt? What's it gonna hurt? Let him come in, let him see what he can do. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'll never forget. It's never going away, but you know, I'll overlook that shit. I could let it slide if you get us to a Super Bowl and you continue to put us on the upward trajectory where this team is, a team like a Pete Carroll team where in 10 out of the 14 years we're in the playoffs and we're competing for a Super Bowl, not losing in the first round like the
yeah.
Chargers did this year, and like the Donkeys did this year, one and done. So, to all the Donkey fans and all the Lightning Bug fans, I think Tom Telesco is looking for a job. Y'all might can bring him back. But and Bronco fans, yeah, all that shit talk did not represent the AFC West at all
No.
well. And
So
I hope the trend continues and Kansas City shits the bed also
told you we
in
hit the
the
trifecta
AFC.
at the end of next weekend,
Yeah,
hopefully.
I hope it is that the rest of the NFL is just better than the AFC West, and that's fine for this year. But next year, I hope that changes. But this year, I hope the rest of the NFL is truly better than the AFC West.
So too. I just I can't handle
The
another
Tijuana
season of this shit.
Sparklers.
This game, man, it's almost like nobody wants to score in
It's
this game.
it's hard to watch this game because
It's boring.
watching Josh Jacobs run the ball in the playoffs
Yeah, that hurts.
really should be
Oh,
us. I mean,
that
really,
was a hell of a catch just now.
this season could have went so different. I mean, so different if they just knew how to run a franchise and an organization, and what it gave Antonio Pierce. And
Then we had an offensive line.
I'm not saying AP was the savior or would have been that guy,
Oh, I
but
never thought he
we'll
was.
never know. Like we'll never know. He was definitely had the building, had the mindset the right way, had the attitude going, and then you pull the plug. But I'm not blaming the organization for realizing that long term that's not what they wanted, and they want something longer term. And hey, shout out to them for realizing that that's not the way they want to go, and they're willing to admit their mistakes and try to change that shit.
Yeah.
Can you toss me gravy, please? I don't have no gravy, B.
Toss my gravy. I know what he means.
Who's mad because you hate the?
I guess somebody in his house was yelling at him, telling him to shut the f up because because he was rooting for the Eagles or against the Eagles today.
Oh,
Where's the flag on that play?
the
Holy
donkeys,
crap!
the chokers are out. Yes, we are. Oh my goodness, broken up in the end zone. But yeah,
He hasn't moved since he missed that too. He's been laying face down now.
watching Josh Jacobs just kills me in this game because the team. I mean, if they would have just, and I hate to look at the past because the season's over, but what could have been if they would have just took a shot and kept Josh Jacobs, started AOC, and ran the season? I think we would have been one of those teams in the playoffs instead of the Broncos or the Chargers. I think we definitely wouldn't have been 0-6 in the division.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
would
I
we have
mean,
won a
with
couple more games? Possible,
a couple. I mean, come
but
on. I think
I,
the defense when our offense was ahead, we played well. Like it was when we turned the ball over, and you
yeah,
can go back and look at every game this year. The games that we were ahead in, which weren't very many, but when we had the lead, we were shut. Our defense was shutting teams down. They were not running the ball. They were not passing the ball. It's when our offense made a mistake, turned the ball over, and gave them a short field, and they scored, and we got behind. Our defense stopped playing every single game this year. So if you take Josh Jacobs' 14 touchdowns and 1,300 plus yards this year, that that's a big difference. That's a big difference. That gives AOC,
yeah,
time to run play action, time to throw the ball. They're not just, putting six people in the box and blitzing, or running seven guys when we only got five linemen in and, a bunch of rookies. You can't block. One guy can't block two guys at once. So when they're sending more pressure than we have, and they're sending the running backs, out of the backfield for short passes instead of staying in the block, I think it just killed us. So I think we would have had way more wins with Josh Jacobs in there if they started AOC. I thought that, we probably Devontae probably would have never even left, and that would have made a big difference too, having a number one receiver. Like this
yeah.
this
Oh
year
yeah,
could have went
I definitely agree there. I
this year
definitely
could have went so much better. Like if
well,
to let your number one guy, I think have problems and to go that route and not be happy with the OC that he brought in. Like, what
yeah,
was the deal with that? Like, why wasn't he happy with the OC he brought in? Was it him or obviously it was upper management? And I think it was with Tom Telesco. I think a lot of people didn't like the way Tom Telesco came in and got rid of key players like Amik Robinson. Even if you go not Josh Jacobs, but if you look at damn, what's the defensive lineman we got from the Bears that had a couple fumbles? The hell is his name? Beli Nichols. Beli
uh,
Nichols was even starting to play good and coming on, and he played very very solid towards the end of the year. They let him walk, and I don't know what he's doing this year. I haven't really checked it out because he's not a Raider, but I thought the guys that Tom Telesco let go and the guys that he kept, hurt this team, like in my opinion, really, really bad.
I mean, the one thing that would have been tough if Jacobs was still here would be the fact that our offensive line couldn't block shit, and it showed by the inept of our running back room this season. Granted, I know our running back room was kind of crappy to begin with, or kind of shit to begin with, but if the offensive line, if we could have changed the offensive line to help him out more, because here's what would have happened with Jacobs, it would have been more of a it would have been more emphasis on him making the plays and having to do what he has to do to get the yardage on the when he's running the ball. Whereas because I really wouldn't have much faith in our offensive line blocking and opening up holes for him to run through. This would have forced him outside a lot, and to improvise, where he's going. Because if your offensive line can't do shit against some of these, especially our own division, against the defenses in our own division, forget it, you know? So, I mean, and again, we were forced to play guys like Parham, James, guys that were too small and just weren't the right fit for that type of offense. And you're right, too. And with Getsy as our offensive coordinator, it'd be like, are you shitting me? You know, it still would have been nice to have him here. I will 100% agree. Um, how many games we would have won? I don't know. I know we probably would have won more, yeah. But how many is the question? You
I
know?
think I think a lot more. I think our defense, the way they played, and even with Getsy's system, I think Josh Jacobs was a good fit for Getsy's system. If you look at the way Chicago ran the ball and the way their running backs ran the ball in Chicago,
Yeah.
and the way their wide zone, in the power zone opened up holes in Chicago. We had the offensive line to do it. We just didn't have the running backs. And at the beginning of the season, I was doing film breakdown, and I just stopped doing film breakdown every week because it was too hard to watch. But the
Oh, it's
running backs,
painful, wasn't it?
the
Normally, I would rewatch the game on a Monday, and the games were so awful. It's like I just couldn't even. I
yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
even I couldn't get myself up to do it. It was like this is just horrible. It's just I don't want
yeah.
to watch
So
this.
so doing film breakdown like that, it just constantly watching Madison, who was mostly the starter, run into the offensive line, no vision, and there's holes, and I'm pointing it out on film. I'm like, bro, look at this. Like, you can drive a
Yeah,
truck through this lane if you would just make one
and
cut.
that's how Zamir
But
was. I'm
instead,
telling you, I
they
don't
would
think
get the
Zamir's
ball and
ankles work.
they would get the ball and they would run power offense, no cuts. And I don't know if they were being told that or being taught that, because if you watch Madison in Minnesota, he didn't do that. And if you watch Zamir White the year before, when he had 100 rushing yards a game, he wasn't just a hand the ball and go. He would make a cut or two. It wasn't no hop step or jump steps like some of these running backs have, like Jacobs has. And I think with Jacobs' ability and his vision, that he would have seen those holes, and they would have exploited the shit out of them, in my opinion. So I think this season would have been way different, and I just have that feeling, and it's not going to go away, that Tom Telesco knew what he was doing and knew that, and I think it backfired on him. I think that's why he was fired so late. I think they
Yeah,
started going over everything, and they're like, man, really? Yeah, he hurt this team more than he helped it. Like, you took
no,
away
he's
the heart the
big,
heart of the
big
offense, and
comment.
you left us with running backs with no vision that
Yeah,
can't
big
cut.
comment.
And
Feels
then
like
and
Getsy
then
was brought in to tank. It sure as hell did, didn't it? Like Getsy
yeah,
was here on purpose to lose games and
yeah,
put
because
out
I
the
mean,
worst
if you
possible players in each position that he could.
and even if you look at Scott, Norv Turner and Scott Turner's offense, the running game wasn't any better. Like, it didn't change. It was the running backs. You know what changed is they put in Amir Abdullah, who wasn't hand the ball off and hit the hole. He actually made cuts and bounced around and would stop, run back the other way. But
And
how
he's a
many
dual
times?
threat too, because he can catch the ball out of the backfield.
How
You
many
know,
times this year did you see a Raider running back run to one side and not have a hole and reverse to the other side of the field that was completely open? Because I've seen other teams do it so many times this
yeah,
year.
I
It
didn't see
was
it at all with
ridiculous.
us.
Not one time, because they would run to that side and they would run straight into the offensive line and try to move them and just push them to get a yard or two. They weren't trying to make big plays or break holes. And that destroyed this team. And I think, with Josh Jacobs, it would have been a
Yeah,
whole nother story, I think. and the chemistry. Not to mention, the chemistry they had with Aiden O'Connell out there practicing with the receivers, in the offseason, trying to get better with Jacoby Myers, trying to get better with Michael Mayer. Those guys were out there putting in work. So to take that away, I don't know. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, Aiden O'Connell was hot at the end of the season. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception in his last 6 games. And then you bring in a quarterback that had more interceptions than he had touchdowns to take over his job. Like that, it
Yeah.
just none of it made sense, and it was just all crazy from the get. Let's get into some of these chats real quick. What are y'all
Yep.
saying? Oh my god, I ain't going that far back up. That's a long way. So let's go. 2 big mistakes. Number one, not resigning Spillane during the season. Second, resigning Andre James to a 3-year deal. That I don't know could be the biggest mistake. I think bringing in Gardner Minshew, 2
That's
years
up
at
there.
2 years for 24 million with 15 million guaranteed. You paid that dude 15 million guaranteed. You know what we paid Gardner Minshew?
.com, Mike.
$1 million a interception. Look at his interceptions, bro.
Yeah.
Look at his
Ridiculous.
interceptions and the guaranteed money he got. We paid Gardner Minshew $1 million an interception, basically. Like that's crazy,
As soon as we can get him off this roster where he has the least impact on our cap, that's what's happening with him. I
right?
don't see us just get rid
Brave
of him.
Raider,
He's done.
appreciate you, my guy. Since JPJ moved to center, Meredith played. Our offensive line improved. Hey, Meredith was a killer. Like he had a 98.2%
I didn't
PFF
have a
grade for
problem.
the season.
I
Jordan
like
Meredith was a dog.
Meredith was okay. Meredith was okay. I was all right with him.
Yeah, Jordan. I mean, he's a little light. He could probably, I wouldn't mind him putting on another 10, 20 pounds so he can be that, Richie Incognito style dog
Yeah, yeah.
mentality. And, I think Parham is just too light at 285, man. He's a tight end, bro. Like you can't play guard at 285 unless you're super strong and you're benching,
No.
300 pounds 50 times. It's like I don't
I've
see
been
that dude
again
being that big.
I've been on Parham pretty much all season long. I've been on his ass about how much he just shouldn't even be here. He's just not a right fit. He's been the weakest link on that offensive line. At first it was kind of a toss up between him and James, but man, he's been the absolute worst on that offensive line without a doubt. You
Right?
know,
Hey, y'all hit them likes buttons. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Raiders Unleashed, and my guy Jeff, New England Raider Booster. We are live on both channels, so if you would, I'd appreciate it. Hop back and forth just to hit that like button,
yeah,
get us in
please,
the
everybody that's
algorithm.
online, come on over to Rebels too and
Yeah, yeah.
subscribe and
Make sure
hit
you
that
go over there, hit
notification.
hit that like button, show them some love, make a couple comments. Appreciate it. Let's see. Gaza says I like Harris, Godwin, and Trey Smith as free agents. Who else would you add to improve our team? At this point, I think me and Jeff have said it a couple times. Until we get a head coach and a GM, it's really hard to say what direction we're going, what our identity is going to be. So that's why I had plans to do some mock drafts, and I was going to see if Jeff wanted to do some, but until we get a coach, man, and
Yeah, there's no
which is
sense in it
which,
at this
which
point.
really sucks because there's a lot of players and there's a lot of good players that I want to talk about. There's a couple, it's not a big name free agency, but there's a couple guys that I think could help this team, just with the guys we have, but we don't know who's coming back. We don't know, who's re-signing. We don't know who's going to be running the ship. So without a captain of the ship, it's kind of hard to say, who your deck mates are going to be, right?
Yep. You know what? There's two things we can guarantee and we can say right now. Number one, we got the 6th pick overall, and number two, we got 120 something million dollars. That's about it.
and,
That's
and you
about as
can
much as you can
and you
say
can buy
right
a Super Bowl with that. You can buy a Super Bowl with
now.
120
You could
mil.
if it's done
I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
if you have the right pieces like we have in a Max Crosby and JPJ playing center, we have a young solid offensive line. We have
You
the
got the best
pieces where
tight
you
end
can
in the
go
league.
out and get the top free agents and try to pay for a Super Bowl. But I don't think that's the route they're trying to go. I think they want to build this team for the long term, for the
Well, I
long
think
haul.
also
And
we got too many we have too many needs to get us to that point, to be honest with you. You know, it would have to be something that would be sustained, if you want to do this. It's not going to be a one night or 1 year fix. No, I
no,
thought it was
no,
like
it's definitely
120 or
not going to be
something, but New
overnight.
England's got over 130 million. They got the most. I know that.
And a
I
damn
think
good
we're in the
quarterback
120s.
already, and a damn good quarterback on the books. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's definitely going to help.
That's
What's
why
my
that
guy
job was so
doing
enticing in New England. You had a rookie that was playing good. You know, you got a running back already. All they need is an offense. They need offensive line. They need a wide receiver, and they need a little bit of help on the defensive end side. And they're not that far, and they already got a decent tight end in Henry, so they're not that far away from making a move in their own division now. Still the only one they really got to compete with is Buffalo. The
Yeah,
Jets suck. They're in disarray right now. Miami, God knows what's going to happen with them. You know, that's a bonus in that division. Our division, complete opposite. You know, we got three phenomenal head coaches. You got three good quarterbacks. One of them a rookie. You got three top defenses. Wait, how do you rank up with that right now? Not with what we currently have. You know.
you go get the best of the best of the best that's available, and that's what
Yep.
we're going to do, and that's
Yep.
what we've
What we
been
have
trying to
to
do.
do.
And that's
We've got
that's
no
what we have to
choice.
do. That's what we need to do. Backtown Raider Mike, appreciate you pulling up. I don't think I ever seen you on my channel before. Raider Rebel, has anyone ever told you you look like Dale
I saw
Earnhardt
that
Jr.?
comment.
No, they have not. But I appreciate it. I wish I had his money or his cars.
Yeah, don't we both?
Uh, mock drafts are rarely right anyhow. Well, unless you watch mine. I'm just kidding. Might as well then do them for the talent. Yeah. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean that
yeah.
definitely, because you might come up with a name that other people aren't even thinking of, and they look into it and go, oh shit, yeah, that might work with that, or yeah, that sounds like that could work.
Yeah,
I mean,
like I
trust
said,
me, we're not doing mock drafts with the hope that whoever the coach and GM sees it and go, ooh, that guy in New England, he knows what he's talking about. Let's mirror that those draft picks. Oh, if that was the case, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys. I'd be
right?
I'd be
One
out
thing
there.
one thing I can say is I think if Ben Johnson comes in the building, definitely look for us to get a running back in this draft very very high, like
Yeah,
because that seems like his whole thing when it comes to that offense moves around that running back room.
dude, Sylvester Stallone, really?
Put that up there.
He's squinting a little too hard, I think. Holy cow!
Y'all getting crazy. Been drinking too much watching the game.
Yeah, I'm more like an Uncle Fester looking type.
Shane, why is your dad getting mad? The Eagles are flipping killing it right now, bro. I don't know why you keep commenting. Comment something else. We don't care about the Eagles, my guy. I love you, but we don't care about them Eagles. And they're winning. It's 16-3. What is it?
I think his dad might be an Eagles fan or something. I don't
On
know.
Bro Schmo's YouTube channel, he was loving JPJ and said the Raiders were going to get him since what? Since the word has one AP guy. Yeah, I I was talking about Dylan Lawbay a lot on my channel, and somehow they went and drafted him, which not bad for my first ever YouTube mock draft. They went and got one
They
player
heard you.
one of my first mock drafts. I was like, all right, well, I don't think they heard me. Ain't nobody watching this channel, but as you could tell from my watch time. People keep saying AP was using JPJ on Madden. What? He probably was using them on Madden. I mean, on college Madden, why wouldn't you? Like
I
JPJ
would
was a
too.
dog. JPJ was a dog, but I really don't think that was. I think Antonio Pierce had a lot to do with that pick, and I think Joe Philbon had a lot to do with those picks. And I think a lot of people are overlooking the presence of Champ Kelly still in the building. Like he was at every game you could think of that had any high profile player that was in this draft scouting. So that man was putting in his work. He did his due diligence. Constantly. They were constantly showing him at the draft, at the all the Shrine games, East West Shrine games, Senior Bowl. So Champ Kelly puts in work. Champ Kelly, I hope he stays around. I definitely do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him if they keep him or let him go. I, I'd like to see him stay. You know, give the guy a chance here. I mean, he could be the future at some point too. That's the way you got to kind of look at it. Again, it's that building. A building block for the future. You know, Jason, who uses Madden to build a roster? Some NFL teams do, and you could honestly think that we did for a few years too.
I'm
Some of
such a
those
dick.
15
Shout out
games.
to Asylum. Y'all go check out his channel, Asylum 77. Definitely has a
Yeah,
YouTube
he's on.
channel. Y'all go
Yeah,
check
he's
him
on
out.
the.
Like, subscribe, follow.
Yeah, if you look up the cage match, that's the show that he does with Raider
That cage
Savage.
match. Yeah, I've
They
been
got
in
a
there a couple
actually they got
times
a good
commenting.
they got a good guest coming on this Wednesday night. I had him on with me the other day, and he was talking about it. Um, they've got a former front office guy that was with the Raiders for many years. That's going to come in and talk about like
Nice.
what's the workings that go on behind the scene. Um, when you're searching for head coach and GMs and assistant coaches and the rest of the coaching staff. It's actually pretty cool. So I already said I'll be there watching it for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. I've been on. I've checked out their show a couple times, or not a couple times. I usually pop in, pop out,
Yeah.
make a couple comments. Never been invited on the show, but no, I'm just kidding.
Shooting gamers for the greatest fun days.
What else we
Oh
got?
yeah, and that's the other thing too. You got to remember too. You've got these Senior Bowl games and such after the championship game and everything. Is that one last chance for these college seniors coming out in the draft to impress the scouts and the coaches and GMs, you know, which is why I hope we have everything in place on the coaching side when those games happen so we can have a representative there that's going to have a say in the future.
Yeah,
I don't know when they're scheduled. I don't know when they play those games, if it's after the Super Bowl or not. I am not sure. I'd have to look it up, and I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't have no mods in here to put no links. Where are all my mods today? What's going on? All watching other people's podcasts. I'm just kidding. Crazy. I don't have one mod in here. I would put the links up, my guy, but I don't have nobody putting no links in or nothing. But I'm the insane one, Chris. Yeah. Asylum gets wild.
Yeah, he does.
Sometimes I'm like, calm down, my guy, calm down.
I mean, the guy wears the straight jacket to games, so you tell me.
He's gonna blow a gasket, bro.
Dude, Green Bay is not going to have any receivers left by the time this game is over. If they if
Nah,
they win this game, they're going to have
they're getting
nobody
wrecked.
playing for them next week. Dobbs has already gone out. Now I don't know
I
who
don't
number 11 is, but he's down. They
I
lost.
don't see him ready.
They lost. What's his name last week to a torn ACL. Oh, he took a direct shot right into the shoulder. Oh, it's Reed. Jesus Christ, they're literally going to have no wide receivers.
The
They're going to have
Eagles
to
are
play like a
nasty, bro.
six
They
tight
got
end set out there.
the
Jesus
Eagles
Christ.
got, the player I was screaming for in the draft last year was Quinyon Mitchell. I was like, man, that was my number one guy in the draft. I was talking about Quinyon Mitchell way before the college season ended. Like I was like, this kid has to go to the Raiders. Like he reminded me of Charles Woodson, just big, strong body, a blanket and coverage. That kid is just a dog. Has that killer mentality. we got Brock Bowers. I'm not mad at it, but man, it would have been so nice if they were smart enough last year to, get a Brock Bowers and the hell with it. Throw some draft picks and move back up and, go get a guy like Quinyon Mitchell. That would
Yeah,
have just, I
exactly.
mean,
But
God, if
again,
you
that's
could have got a Brock
Telesco, though.
Bowers and a Quinyon Mitchell and a JPJ and Glaze in that draft would have been, I mean, lights
That's
out.
Telesco's downfall. He doesn't move around the draft board.
Yeah, and
He
we
just
had the
wakes up
capital. I
that
mean,
morning. I got pick number 6. I got pick number 6. Pick number 6, and he doesn't vary. He doesn't do anything. It's just the way he's always been, unfortunately. You
and
know.
people were saying my shit was clickbait. I was trying to say, the Raiders should have traded Devontae Adams last year when he was worth something instead of the third round pick. We could have probably got a first and a second because he still had 1,000-yard season. He still had 1,000-yard season before that. Like the man was still relevant. And if they really wanted to move up and get a player like that or move back up in the draft, we had a
Yeah.
Colton Miller that was still worth way more than he after this season. Like we could have got way more for Colton Miller. We could have got way more for Devontae, knowing that Devontae had that big contract coming up. And people just blew me off, thought I was crazy. They're like, "Oh, that's dumb. Devontae's not going nowhere." And I said it over and over again since last year. It's not if, it's when. The Raiders weren't paying him that salary. It's people want to get mad at Devontae, blame Devontae because he wanted out and shit. He knew
Yeah.
damn well. Like he got all his money, all his guaranteed money, and he wasn't getting no more from the Raiders. They weren't
No.
paying that 40 mil.
No.
Like it wasn't happening. But it would have been smart to trade the dude and get something for him. Like we could have had so much a way, a crazy, crazy draft last year, just moving him then. And there was people calling, like wanted to, and they were like, nope, nope. Tom Telesco's like, nope, he's not going nowhere. Like, and then you let him go for a third round pick. Just that's how you get fired in the NFL, folks.
Oh, damn, you're cooking ribeyes? Lucky bastard. Yeah, Chris, check me out later. I might come back on live tonight at some point. I'm not 100%. I've been grinding the last 24 hours nonstop. Actually,
Right?
since
Yeah.
Friday.
You've
Yeah,
been putting
Friday.
in that work, man. You about to pass me. You're about to pass me. That's wild. You've
I
been
gained
grinding.
30. I gained 30 subs last night alone doing that
Dixon
show.
Carter was good, my guy. Yeah, man. The subs are hard to get, but the watch hours, dude, I can't like my average view time is
That's the
crazy.
tough
And then
part for me now.
most of my viewers, which I don't know how I have, 1,000 subs, but most of my views are, I think 85% of my watchers are new content, new watchers. So the
Yeah,
viewers, the followers I have just ain't going back and watching my shit. So just got to keep putting out new content again.
I haven't done an actual edited video. Um, God,
Josh Jacobs is a beast, bro.
they're not going to give him
Oh,
that.
he's
His knee was
down.
down. Yeah, his knee
Man,
was down. Yeah, it'll be at like the 1.5 foot line. I it's got to be at least a month since I've done an edited video. I've got the pictures from the events that we've done with the club. Like the Christmas stuff, the last game of the season, shit like that. This week just threw me off because of everything that happened with the Raiders. I had a plan on what I wanted to do this week, as far as, editing some of that stuff. But I ended up doing so many live shows because, you know, with the AP presser and then him getting fired and Telesco, it just changed everything for the week. So I may even take next week off from even doing um, the editing again because the news is going to drop at some point within the next week that, this is who we're unofficially going to be looking for, so I'm probably not going to do anything next week
yeah,
unless I get the chance.
that's one of the huge reasons I wouldn't mind, taking the shot at Pete Carroll because we can we can sign him now. We can get him in the building. We can get him to
Yeah,
work. Like
yeah. We won't have
the
to wait until,
yeah, the
we see what
biggest thing.
happens with Detroit.
Yeah, the biggest thing about Detroit and Ben Johnson is, man, if they keep winning like everybody believes they are and make it to the Super Bowl, like then I mean, damn, the draft is right around the corner. Like you got no
You
time,
lose valuable time. You do. I
and,
mean,
and
best case scenario for us, as Raider fans and as the Raider organization is Detroit loses next week. Worst case scenario, they go to the Super Bowl, because now we got to wait until February 9th or until
Yeah,
the day after.
and then the draft is right there, and
Draft is 2 months,
it wouldn't
just
be
a little
bad if
over
you were
2 months
just
away.
yeah, it wouldn't be
And
bad
free agency.
if you're just looking for a head coach. That's not too bad of a scenario. But the fact that you need a GM, and most of the people in the building, they haven't been released yet. They're still on the Raiders, roster. If you look at the coaching roster, all
Hmm.
those guys still have jobs. So are they going to be the ones? Are they still working for them? Are they're like, man, you're still getting paid by us, employed by us, so do your job, and we want every bit of information we can get from you. But
Yeah.
not having scouts in the building and not having anybody in the building is just wild to me. So they want they want to wait, make the GM and head coach a package deal, but I think that's really really hurting us. But if they're looking for the long term, they're not planning on competing this year, and they're not really worried about that. But it's still, even if you're not worried about competing or planning on competing this year, it takes away from having knowledge of players in the draft, or who you want to go after, or what kind of guys you want to go after. What kind of team do you want to be? You want to be a run team? You want to be a throw deep team? You want to be a spread offense? Like, there's a million. Are we going back to 12 personnel? We don't know any of that until we get some guys in the building. So I think that's really going to put a damper on a lot of good draft picks that we could get, and free agency, because guys don't have time to do their homework. They're going to be
Yeah.
busy, 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 busy.
Yep. Unfortunately. Me
Downs is getting warmed up. 2nd and 12.
Chris B, if you go to that link I just posted, that Linktree account, that'll take you to everything so you can see all my screen names for all the different what do you call it? Social media platforms that I'm on. And
Can't
Jacob's
wait to
just
see
they
Jeff's
they let him run it
screen
in this time. Green Bay's making a game of it at least. I mean, finally scored a touchdown. They're down by 1 score. All right.
Can you see
I
it now?
Why would you change?
Oh no, he said he couldn't see your name because of the chat, or the chat bar or something. Can't quite see Jeff's screen name because
Oh,
of the
you know
chat
what it is?
bar.
Yeah, you know what? He might be watching it from his phone. That's probably why.
Oh, it's in a different place, because I was like, it's on
Yeah,
top. Like,
yeah. No,
it's
because
on top
it
on my
might
screen. I don't know.
actually. You know what? I want to pull this up on my phone. Let me see what it looks like because that makes a big difference. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I didn't even check to see what it looked like on mine either, which I probably should.
Yeah, yeah. The window to type in is to type in the chat is right over the name.
Oh, so
But
it's on the
that's fine
bottom.
because you know what? It's still about the layout image.
I'll
With it
just
being
remove
like
them.
with it being that that vertical, it fits better on your phones. So,
Yeah, I'll
and
just
I've
leave it off
noticed a
until
tendency
I pull
you
one up.
get more views that way too. You get more people that pop in and watch it because it shows up as a short feed. And that's what a lot of people scroll through when they're looking for shit to watch.
Yeah, I've done it a
I
couple
mean,
times, but it never really works for me. I just can't get, man. It's hard getting followers. I don't know if YouTube's just not pushing my shit because I'm not consistent enough, or because I smoke sometimes, or because I cuss a lot. Who
well,
knows?
cussing. I mean, Jesus. I mean, if that was the case, I would have got nothing last night. I mean, because I was swearing a lot last night.
Right. Well, when it's later, I don't think they care as much. But I think when if your live's still up and they run the replay, and people decide to watch it in the daytime, I always forget about that. I'll do shit at night, thinking well, it's nighttime, but then I'm like, oh yeah, but you can watch it
Yeah.
anytime. So, Raider Ryan says, I'm glad for once Tom talked Mark into what? I can't even read that. What does it
And
say?
trusting the job search to a third party, Jed.
Oh, all right, there we go.
Lots of other teams have had success with hiring that hedge fund group. Yeah.
Yeah, that man's he's a matchmaker. Like I said, he's the Cupid of
Oh, he's
GMs, and
legit.
the Cupid of GMs and coaches. So yeah, they're putting us in the best chance to win now, and it might take a while, but man, people are forgetting we do have a lot of key pieces in the building still. And, if they decide to keep a lot of these free agents that we brought in on the defensive line, like Chase on, like Lalu, there are pieces that we have to work with. So it might not be all bad, especially if Ben Johnson is good and as everybody says he is, and Tom Brady is who he says he is, it could be a quick turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, the rumors I'm seeing or the reports from that interview with the team, they went extremely well. I mean, nobody's saying anything bad about it. Tom Brady, I know Asylum Post put it in the chat earlier. Um, Tom Brady spent hours talking to Ben Johnson's agent, probably trying to hammer out, hey, if we do hire him, what's he looking for? What can we, let's stop that process now, the brainstorming to see what we can do to accommodate what he wants in return to come here, you know,
Yeah,
because Tom's probably telling him, I really want him to be our coach, so that gives me positive vibes on all this too. If he's involved with talking to, you know, Johnson's agent, that's another big step too. So I feel good. I feel good about the direction um, and the way we're doing it. It's a far cry from the way this team used to handle looking at coaches. Definitely. It's a far cry from the way Al Davis used to do it.
yeah,
Did you
it's
see any
definitely.
clips of that? Did you ever see any clips of the interview that Gruden did with somebody, and he explained how the interview process went with him and Al Davis when he got hired the first time with him?
Yeah,
You know, and the comment was, um, Al Davis spent 4 days with him, and someone that was in the on the live feed with them, like in the interview, sitting with them, he goes, "That's not an interview. That's more like a kidnapping." Al Davis
right.
kidnapped you for 4 days. He goes, "It's kind of
Held
what
you
it felt
hostage.
like." you know?
Help, he took me hostage.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, can't be smoking when chat sports drinks on. Yeah, but yeah, smoking is viewed differently than drinking because it's not legal everywhere. I guess I don't know.
Well, what kind of smoking we talking?
Oh, I smoke out of my vape pen, which is
Yeah,
THC sometimes. So
yeah, I got it. I mean, sometimes they get a little crazy with what they allow and don't allow. I don't know.
yeah,
That's
it
why
depends
right now I
on.
don't do anything. I don't post. I don't go live on Facebook because they're a little bit more stringent. Um, Especially with this the swearing and everything. I know I got flagged on TikTok about a month ago because I was using my phone, but I was sitting here. But then because I was on my phone, I wanted to have a cigarette, so I went out through the breezeway and had a cigarette. But I had my phone with me still on camera, and it caught me doing this a couple of times. And later on, I get the notification. And I was like, "Hey, you shitting me? It's a cigarette. Come on."
Yeah, and I don't know why they do that because I've been on TikTok a bunch of times where people are hitting vape pens or people are
Yeah.
smoking. People have their shirts off, and back in the day, I used to go on TikTok and I got flagged because I was at the river one time and I was live on, and they flagged me because I was in shorts and a t-shirt. I was like, "What? You can't go live on TikTok at the beach?" Like, I guess it's just certain people. So yeah, it's crazy. But I've never went. I don't know why. I never tried to go live on IG or Facebook or any of
I
those
haven't
while
done
I'm here.
Instagram yet. I haven't done any of this is the only thing I've done so far is
Yeah,
YouTube stuff.
or
Because
X. I mean, I can go live, I
yeah.
guess, on all those at the same time, but I just
Yeah, I could
never
do that too.
never
I mean,
have.
I've got them all,
I
but my
probably
thing
should, trying
was
to get
I
more
just wanted to
views.
focus I wanted to focus on just one first. Yeah, I know I could probably grow them all at the same time, but I'd rather focus on one first and then I can branch off. If I want to go Instagram after this, which is probably what I'm gonna do. Um, but the thing is on Facebook, I've got well over like 2,500 friends and followers on that one. Whereas Instagram for the club, it's just over 800 on there now. That one shot up fast. And again, that was made from scratch. I started with zero. Same thing with this YouTube channel. Started from zero in September, and just in the last month, it's just exploded. just in the last couple of weeks,
Yeah,
last week and a half and such. It's just blown up, which is
yeah,
fine by
it's
me.
definitely
You know,
it's definitely being consistent, man. If you're on, once a day, every day, like you said, you're retired, so you have that time where,
I got all the time in the
you
world.
can, yeah, you can go on. If you're on, like my ex girlfriend did the same thing too. Like she just started, a YouTube channel, and within like 2 months, she's already got 12,000 followers. But she goes on 3, 4 times a day for an hour here, 2 hours there, sometimes 3 or 4, 5, 6 hours at a time. So just depending on what she's doing. So yeah, I think YouTube, YouTube just likes consistency, and whatever they can make money off of is the big key. So the more you're on, and they think they can push your stuff to get their ads through or whatever, they're gonna they're
Yeah.
gonna keep they're gonna keep pushing you. So
I mean,
yeah,
nothing was more evident of that than last night's show. That
yeah,
that was
yeah,
just absolutely insane. I've that's the first time I've witnessed it like that. That was nuts. And I
you
thought
didn't.
Thursday night show I did was damn good, but this last night blew it out of the water.
Yeah,
I was like,
right, 10,000
"Good
people, bro.
God."
That's like a Chat
Yeah.
Sports in Oak Las Vegas stream right there.
Yeah, dude, it was 10,200, I think, by the time I was done last night, and over 100 hours view time. I was, like, blown away. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, alright, so it was definitely worth going on last night."
Yeah, it was definitely worth. Yeah, definitely. Like sometimes you just get in that, you get in the algorithm. Like I said, you've been on for a
Yeah,
couple of days, and there was not too many Raider content creators on, and you just hit that
and
spot
that's
of
just it.
go
Nobody was
back and
on
go
last
back and
night.
check everything, like the title, the description, because see what you did on that, because it could be a lot to do with that too. Like it might have just been something in the title that grabbed the algorithm and got people jumping, and it just kept pushing it, because as long as people are commenting, the more comments they get, the more they're
Yeah,
gonna continue to try to send people to flood your lives. But when there's 20 different content creators on at the same time, there it's hard for YouTube to constantly push them to push them to five different content creators, which has been the norm lately. Like every time I turn on YouTube, bro, there's like 3, 4, 5, 6 different people on. So the competition's getting rough. It's getting like the AFC West.
yeah. Hold on a second.
It looks like the Packers trying to stay in it. What was I just looking at? Oh yeah. So running backs in this draft, like just on the first page, is Ashton Genty, Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina, Caleb Johnson, I think out of Iowa, uh, Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, which is another kid that, man, that 4.35 speed for Dylan Sampson is crazy, bro. That dude's fast. But he's 5'11", 190 pounds. That's definitely might have to put on a little bit more weight in the
Yeah.
NFL. Dylan Labe is bigger than that, right? He's like 210. I mean,
Yeah, I
like
don't know
five
what size
five
he is.
5'10", 215, 220 or something. Like he's a pretty big dude. I don't know why he wasn't getting playtime. That's just crazy, especially with his 40 time and the way he performed in the combine. But you got Jordan James, 4'5" guy, 5'10", 210 out of Oregon. And then this dude has just impressed the hell out of me the last couple of weeks. And my big thing was I didn't want to do draft or talk about guys until the playoffs, because with the 12 team playoff scenario, I thought it was just going to be way crazier this year, and guys are just going to climb up the boards. But uh Travion Henderson, like this kid for 5'10", 208 pounds, man, runs that 4.39, out of Ohio State, can catch out of the backfield. This kid is special, dude, and he just shows it more and more. Like if he gets by one person, there's nobody catching that kid, and his stock just keeps going up and up and up. I think what I'm on right now, they have him as the sixth best running back, and I think 3 weeks ago he was like at the bottom of the page, like 10 or 12,
Yeah.
and 9 or 10, or
Well, and that's just it. I mean,
he
a lot
wasn't
of
even
these
on the
guys
first page. So
they're gonna move up and down. I mean, again, I know we keep saying it, but the bowl game, the senior games and the combine, you know, and what they did in the actual pro, the college bowl games too. Like, Scatterbo's moving up. He has to after that performance, and then whatever he does in if he plays in one of those games and his pro day and or the combine, I can't
oh
imagine
yeah.
him dropping. He's going to move up in the ranks. Right now he's like a third round. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time they're done
Let's
and
see
they
where they
come out
got
with the
him on
final
here.
rankings that he falls into the second round possibly.
They got him at the. They got him
Up
as the.
Turf, how you doing, brother?
They got him as the 12th ranked running back. He's projected to go in the fourth round.
Scatterbo, yeah, that's as of right now,
Yeah, as of
right?
right
That's as of
now,
like today's
overall
date.
ranked
Yeah, he'll move. That'll move. I guarantee it.
ranked
I'd put money on
110,
that.
110 in the country by position, which 110 is not bad, but 12th overall from running backs, which I think there are a lot of good running backs in here. I don't know if he's the 12th. I think he might be higher than that, in my opinion, especially after that last game. I mean, the man threw a touchdown. Ultimate Raider fan
Yeah,
was good. Y'all go check out his channel as well. But the man threw a touchdown. He caught one. 40 yards downfield. So Scatterboo's going to be on a lot of people's radar. Just he played quarterback, in college, so he's just he reminds me, like I said, that Tyson Hill or whatever from the Saints. That guy that Taysom Hill or whatever. You
yeah,
can put at
yeah. I know who you're
receiver.
talking
You
about.
can put in the slot. You can put a kick returner, punt returner, quarterback, running back. Like the man goes all over the field. So you know. I think he's gonna definitely move up the draft board, especially when it comes, Senior Bowl, East West Shrine Bowl. Yeah, Scatterboo's he's gonna put on a performance.
I hope he does. But I hope he doesn't put on too good of a performance so we can still get him into, so he can still be there for us. Hopefully,
The one
you
the
know.
one thing that scares me about Scatterboo, and this is why, in my opinion, he's ranked the 12th best running back, is his pass blocking and run block. Pass blocking and run blocking is it's not very good. Like not very good at all. I think his pass blocking is a 39% and run blocking 51%. So
Yeah,
that's definitely going to have to change in the NFL. And I think, that's a huge reason why Dylan Labe is not playing right now, is because, pass
that's right.
pass protection, you just getting blown up by these big defensive linemen, coming through with a head of steam, just
Yeah,
mowing over these guys. But that can be fixed, with his size, his strength, all those can be. But I think that's the main reason why he's down on the list. But a lot of these running backs too, I've been going through trying to break them down, and I think that's the worst thing about a lot of these running backs. They're great hands, good vision. They have good wiggle. They're fast as hell, but a lot of them can't block. Like they when it comes to pass pro, they're horrible. But you can't blame them when you got defensive linemen that are 6'8", 300 pounds coming at you. So
yeah, yeah, and yeah, I see what Turf just said too. He's not sold on Scatabo. His 40
yeah,
time is not that great, so he won't be hard to catch, even if and when he breaks tackles. Yeah, I mean, obviously that would definitely be an issue.
yeah, he
You
runs a
know,
4.6, a 4.6 240. Man, I ran a four
yeah, I
six in high
mean,
school. Like,
the list that Turf brought up Friday night, I mean, some of these guys, like I said, ranked in the 40s, they were running faster times than that still, and they were good sized dudes too. They weren't small little like 5'6", 5'8", 5'9" guys. These were, 6 feet, you know, with a time of like a 4.3. I mean, that's impressive for that size, and then still falling, ranking that far down too. I mean, the list he put up, like I said earlier, was insane. How many fucking running backs there are in this draft this year? I
oh, it's
I don't
crazy.
think
It's crazy.
I mean, I've never really paid attention to the running back rankings before, or like how many. I've never seen it like this though. I've never seen this many available that are going to be serviceable. You know,
I
so
like
deep
the
into the draft too.
the Quentin Judkins too out of Ohio. That kid reminds me of that, that Marshawn Lynch mentality, just trying to bulldoze people, run people over, stiff arm people. I mean, he's not the fastest guy on the field, but he's fast enough to get it done. 4.49. I mean,
Yeah,
you ain't catching him from behind unless you're running a 4.240. So yeah, there's crazy running backs in this draft. Like I said, just on the first
yeah, that's what I
page of
mean.
the
Look what he put there. There's at least 20 backs over 210 pounds, and they all run sub 4.4s. And that's what it was showing on the list when he was going through it the other night. I was like, Jesus Christ.
But like I said, the main thing is you have to go back and look at their pass blocking and run blocking protection, and then their hands out of the backfield. Like a lot of those guys, are going to be third down backs because of their speed, because of their size. They're not going to be a everyday, carry the load type back like a Travis Henry or Saquon or a Josh Jacobs. They're
Yeah.
until they can get that down, But if they can sit a year or get with a good running back coach or offensive line coach that can help them, tight end coach that can help them with their blocking, I think it'll make a difference. But there's so many guys that are fast in here. Nick Singleton runs a 4.39 at 6 foot. Rashard Smith 5'9", 196 runs a 4.4. I mean, yeah.
That's another name I see coming up too. Pig just put up Kyle Mana Mananagai. I don't even know how you pronounce that. I know I probably just butchered the shit out of it. Is a sneaky dark horse running back that could be Lynch times Jalen. I've seen the name. I don't know about him. I don't know if Turf's still watching, if he knows what the deal is with that guy, like where he falls in the ranking. I honestly don't know. Like I said, I don't
He's
know running
way
backs
way down
like
there.
some guys do. Like Turf, I trust on what he says with running backs, so his evaluation of him. I know you know about your running backs too. Um,
He's 5'9", 200 pounds, runs a 4.540.
4.5.
Yeah, runs a 4.540 at 5'9", 210 pounds. Let me see if I can find him on here. Let me see what his stats say. Um,
Mon,
so height
Mon,
5'9" is in the red.
Mon, okay.
40 time is light green at a 4.5 flat. Um, Weight is orange at 209 pounds. Defensive rating is a 75. Rushing is rated 83%. Breaking tackles 74%. Receiving hands 60. Um, Pass blocking not bad, 61%. Run blocking 67%. So I mean, yeah, that's a solid
So his
ass.
numbers not bad.
That's solid numbers right there. The speed, 4.5 is shit. You're still running. If you get a step on somebody, they're not catching you from behind at that speed. So,
Still faster than me.
oh, come on, man.
Doesn't take much.
Come on, man. I don't think either one of us are trying to run a race. I ran a 4.6 in high school, but I ain't running
Oh,
that
I
shit
know I'm
now.
not.
I ain't running
Hell
that now.
no.
I'm running about 4 steps and
I'm
that's
not even getting that, dude.
shit. I might have a I might have a 4 or 5 flat breaths breathing in a 40.
Yeah. Dude, like I said to Leo the other day when we were talking in the chat, and we were talking about size of certain plays and everything. And I said, dude, I said, I'm only 6 feet. And Nathan, who's LV rated 10, was in there too. He goes, I thought you were taller than that. I said, dude, I'm 6 by 6. He goes, what I said, I'm 6 feet tall by 6 feet wide. I said, I'm a 6 by 6. You know, I'm six even.
Yeah, they got this dude ranked Monagai, the 23rd ranked running back. Let's see where they have him projected. Um,
That's gonna be what, like fourth, fifth,
the projected round sixth.
sixth.
So I mean, yeah, that's. depending on what they're looking for. I mean, if you can get a guy like that and mix him, with a Dylan Labe, which has one of the best hands in college football. Coming out of college football, his catch radius was 94%. Like some of these
Well, it would
guys,
have been nice if we could have
re,
seen something during
you
the
know,
season instead of special teams, you
yeah,
know?
some of these guys receiving out of the backfield, 50%, 58%, 60%. Like Dylan Labe's was 94%. Like
I
they said he had the fourth best hands out of all the guys coming out. That's Brock Bowers, that's Neighbors,
yeah,
that's Marvin Harrison Jr. And Dylan Labe was ranked in there. So man, that's one thing that irritated the shit out of me about Antonio Pierce was that kid fumbled and never got a chance. And I know, guys like Turf are going to say he just can't cut it in the NFL, but you'll never know unless you give the guy a chance. When you can run that fast and you can catch that good, like you can run wheel routes, you can run drag routes, you can run curl routes, you can get that kid open, and he's dynamic with the ball in his hands in the field. So for them not to put him in, I think was another thing that just hurt us, especially when you had running backs with no vision. And I think this system, as we seen, when they started to put Amir Abdullah in there, the system was made for guys that have vision, that are crafty like that, that are slimy, that can wiggle and move and make a couple cuts and get through the
yeah.
hole, find the hole. Dylan Labe was that dude, like, and they just never even put him in there. So yeah, a lot of
No,
that
like,
was.
even the last 2 weeks of the season would have been a perfect time to put him in.
And
You know,
AP
you had
said
no
expect to
Sincere
see Dylan
McCormick.
Labe.
Yeah, Sincere McCormick was already out with injuries for those last 2 games. So instead, you went with Madison, and then you went with Grandpa Abdullah back there when you could have put him in there. Instead, they put a guy in and even got a carry in the game, the last game of the season that they just picked up.
Yeah,
It's like, "Are you shitting me? What there's gotta be something up with that kid that we just don't know about as to why they didn't put him out there."
and I
Yeah, he
don't know
might have
what
fumbled,
because
but that's how you kill a kid's confidence if you don't let him get back out there and try again,
yeah, and
you know?
especially when the kid, the kid his senior year was so good catching the ball that they were like, "Damn, let's put him in the slot." They used him as their number one receiver a lot of times. He was their number one option. He's so good. So to not even be used is just that's just bad coaching all around from the whole
Yeah,
staff.
it just does
You
I
can't
don't
blame
get
it
it.
on one guy. Like somebody should have said, "Hey, let's give this kid a chance." And like I said, AP the last 2 weeks was like, "We should see Dylan Labe. I really want to see what Dylan Labe can do," and they didn't put him in. So yeah, the whole coaching scenario was just bad from the jump. Like nobody
Yeah.
was on the same page. Like they were not good with obviously seeing players. Another guy like Amari Gainer, like I keep talking about, is we had trouble tackling. We had trouble guarding guys on the hashes, sideline to sideline. But we had a guy that could do all that sitting on the bench in Amari Gainer. Like, never made sense at all.
Yeah. I like Jason's post here. With Henry, Barkley, Jacobs working in the playoffs, running backs will be the flavor of this draft. Without a doubt, because teams are starting to see that, hey, you need that number one running back now. Look at what these teams just did, you
Yeah,
know?
that's what I said earlier.
I mean,
Like,
unfortunately, you got two of the top running backs playing each other, so you're gonna knock one of them out of the playoffs, which kind of sucks, you know? I'd like to see them both go on, but it's not gonna happen, you know? And then Courtney, what team do you think Travis Hunter will be drafted by if he goes because he might not? Why? He might not go?
oh, to us, I
Travis
think he said he might not go to us. Is that what he said?
No, he says,
Oh,
"What
he might not
team?"
go.
Yeah,
Oh, oh
if he
yeah,
goes
no, yeah.
because
So there's been reports on Dion saying if you don't want to play Travis Hunter, both ways, positive necessary. If you don't want to play him on both sides of the ball, then don't even draft him because he has another year of eligibility, so he doesn't have to come
Oh,
out. So yeah, there's big talk saying if he doesn't get what he wants and he doesn't go to a team that's willing to let him play offense and defense, that he might not even come out this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm an NFL team and I draft him, guess what? I'm gonna determine what position you play, and you're gonna like it or you're not gonna play.
Which
You know,
I don't know how that works.
you're a rookie kid, you're
Can
coming out
you
of college, you shouldn't have a say in anything, I'm sorry.
no?
We're
And
gonna
if
put you
you
where you're
enter,
gonna play where we think you fit best
yeah, and
based on
if
our
you
tape.
if you enter the draft, like how and you're picked, how can you go back to college? I thought once you entered and
No,
declared
that's
for
it.
the
You can't.
NFL,
Your eligibility is done.
yeah, I thought once you declared for the NFL, like you can renege before it before it starts. I think you can change your mind, but I thought once everything started, you can't go back to school. So I don't know how that works.
Well, I think if it's there's got to be a deadline. I don't know what it is. I don't want to talk out my ass with it, but there's got to be a deadline when they can remove the declaration, or like if they make it the draft day and they don't get picked, it's not like they can say, "Oh well, thanks for thinking about me, but didn't get picked. I'm going to go back to college now." I don't know the rules on that aspect. It might be smart for him to stay another year. You know, I,
Right. Yeah,
I,
that's why I've been out on the whole Dion thing from the jump. Like Dion's just gonna
mm,
be a circus. If he
yeah,
doesn't get his way, he's gonna be in the media crying and another big thing that I've been out on since day one of Deion Sanders is if your son is not him, do you bench him? You know? Or if you're 0-13 and they decide to move on from Dion, that's not going to sit well. Still having both of your
no,
kids, that one they probably didn't want in the first place. They just got because they brought in Deion Sanders. That's the only reason they brought in Shiloh. So there's that scenario. And if you have another player on the bench that's outperforming Shador Sanders, is Dion going to make that call to bench his kid? Probably not.
yeah,
More than likely not. So
right.
that for me, I'm totally out on the Dion thing, and I'm so glad that the Raiders are like, no, that's not even in the
Yeah,
talks.
yeah. I don't even want to entertain that thought. Yeah.
Yeah, that it definitely makes
All
man,
right.
it
So
makes this off season.
Courtney's saying his dad is apparently trying to hold him back from the draft. All right, that kind of makes sense. I get that. Asylum. That's what I thought too. Once you declared your career
Yeah,
was
that's
over,
yeah.
but
Once you declare it's over.
Ray kind of I don't know how true that is. I'm not doubting you, bud. Um, but it could be that also.
Oh,
Again, I'd have to look
right.
and double check it.
Ray Bosby says
Yeah,
if you do not have an agent, you can go back to school. So there, that is. If you don't have an agent and you declare for the draft, so then you can go back to school. But if you have an agent, then you're jacked.
yeah. If that's the issue, if that's for real, then okay. So you come out, you try and test the waters, but
Yeah, and then if you get drafted, then you
I mean,
decide
you
to go
can just
get
also
I mean,
refuse like Bo Jackson did and not report,
yeah,
and then the team's got to do what they got to do with you.
yeah, you could do that too. But I mean, if you were smart, to me, it makes sense in that position. That why have why have an agent? Just declare for the draft, and then if you get drafted and it's the team you want, then you go get an agent. And if it's not, then you just go back to school.
He
So
just say, "Fuck you, I'm not coming."
yeah, yeah, like dude, I'm out.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Cleveland Browns. I don't want to be here. See you later.
Yeah, I know where I sit this year. Now I have to work harder so I can be better, a higher draft pick next year. Like this is where it's got to go with that. To me, Bo got screwed by Tampa, but you heard the story.
Yeah,
I don't care what happened to Bo in Tampa. He was damn good for us. I just wish he would have stayed healthy.
yeah. I'm just glad he made it to us.
Yeah, I just wish he would have had more time, man. Like
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is.
what could have been, right? Just another what could have been. And then you got a guy, like Jacobs in the building, which another thing that I was just never like Tom Telesco is you came in preaching, oh, my main goal and my number one pet peeve is, keeping guys homegrown in house. And then you let Jacobs go, which
Yeah, it's the first thing he
was the
does.
was the heartbeat besides Max Crosby of the in-house homegrown guys that we drafted. Like,
Yep.
and you just let them walk. Don't even call them. Like that's crazy shit. So thank God they moved on, and we can actually. I'm actually excited, bro. I'm actually excited for what's about to come. Just from the coaches, we haven't talked about the other two, but you know,
There's a lot of good
Todd,
potential going forward
Todd,
for
Todd
sure.
Monken coming in Monday, and I'm sure after these playoffs are over, that there might be some other names thrown out there that we haven't seen. It could be Mike LaFleur. It could be a couple of these guys from Philadelphia that seem to be doing pretty good over there. Seem to have killer drafts. I mean, there's an assistant GM over there too that um, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but and director player personnel over there that their time might be coming in the NFL too. That you keep having drafts like they have over there in Philly, like they've been killing it pretty much year after year. So
Yeah.
definitely the future is bright for this team for sure. What does it say? So Tampa told him he could visit and still be eligible to play baseball. Even told him they confirmed it.
Yeah, they
He
they
go
burned
back.
him.
He
I
go
heard
back
that
back in to
story.
play a baseball game. The ruled NCAA eligibility. Yeah, that's. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they
dirty. That's
basically did. They
that's
screwed him
dirty.
over.
Like that's dirty as hell to do somebody like that. But it's a
That's
it's
pretty
a
much the main
cutthroat
reason he
business.
didn't go there.
Yeah, it's a cutthroat business, and that's it is a business, which a lot of people forget, and especially for these young guys out there, you know, in their 20s, early 20s, they attaching on to players and buying jerseys and shit. Y'all forget that whether it's a sport and it's a kid sport that everybody loves, is it's still a business, and it doesn't matter how great you are, what your name is, the name on the back of your jersey, where you were drafted. Like
Yeah.
it's all about putting butts in the seats. And another thing I got to credit Mark Davis for is everybody says Mark Davis is just about money. If that was the case, Deion Sanders would be one of those guys talked about being the next Raiders head coach, in my
Oh, the buzz
opinion.
around that
Because
name coming here would have been
yeah,
huge.
because Deion Sanders and Shador Sanders are gonna put butts in the seat. They're gonna sell merchandise. They're gonna sell tickets, and it's gonna be a free for all frenzy. And I'm very very proud to say that Mark Davis went a different route and that's not his main goal. Like he definitely truly wants to win for this franchise.
Jesus Christ, another Packer down. Thank God they're not going to go on and play because I don't think they'd have a team available for next week.
Right.
Holy fuck! They just lost
Uh,
another offensive lineman. Just went down.
Rebel, I'm hoping that the Raiders get a power back. That's my favorite type
Oh
of back. Yeah, we need definitely another Marshawn Lynch, but a Marshawn Lynch with speed. And I mean, let's be honest. That's what we all thought we had in Zamir White, right? Like he showed out at the end of the year,
yeah,
and could Zamir White still be that guy? Like he's still under rookie contract. I don't see him probably moving on from the guy. You know, if he's still
But
under rookie contract, you might as well keep him around and see, if it was just the scheme.
I'm ready to let him go. I really am. I'm sorry. I know Leo says this all the time. He's like he goes, we got catfished by him,
Yeah,
because
right.
of how the season ended with him, how he looked when he came in during the beginning of the season and practices and summer camp and all that. And then when the season started, it was like this isn't the same guy we saw during the preseason and everything else. He put on all this extra weight and then he gets out there and all he does is run forward, no cuts or nothing. That's why he said his ankles didn't work. There's no flexibility in his feet. He couldn't make cuts to avoid tackles. It's like, oh, I run forward. Yeah, you can run forward if you're like 240, six
Yeah,
foot
but
two.
if you go back
You
and
can bowl
watch
people
the film, if you go back and watch film from last year and his running game from when Bo Hardegree took over, like that's why I say we should have kept Bo Hardegree. Man, Bo Hardegree is a lot did a lot for this offense that people don't know.
over.
Like he didn't have that run style, and he got in the games. He got snaps in every game. He got carries. Josh Jacobs had to have breathers. He had his opportunities to make big plays, to make big runs, and he didn't until Josh Jacobs went down. So I think the kid, with his speed, he still runs a 4.3 40. Like he has good hands. He can catch out of the backfield. I think the kid still has potential in the right system. And I believe if we do let him go and move on from him, it's just going to be another one of those players that we see shining somewhere else, because I think with the size that
That
kid
always
has,
happens with us.
yeah, with the size, the muscles that kid has, like he has, everything you need to be one of those backs. You just gotta definitely got to get the right system and the right offensive line. But
Yep.
and I said all year is all these running backs needed a damn fullback. We need a fullback. Like if you look at all the good teams with the good running backs, they have somebody leading the way, and these guys would have been 10 times better. I think Madison, even Amir Abdullah, and Zamir White, I think would be way better with a damn fullback in there. But they
We
didn't
haven't
want,
had a good we haven't had a good fullback in a few years. And we've had some good ones too. We've had
right with
Richie,
John
we
Ritchie.
had
I was just gonna say,
um we had Rashad, because he's in Baltimore now. Richie was good. He went, where did he go? Tampa? Where the fuck did Richie go?
yeah, I think he went to Tampa afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's where it was. You know, I mean, I don't know. How long
Um,
you staying on for?
I'm probably gonna get off here. What, it's been like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, all right. Because I was just gonna run out for a cigarette, but I'll wait.
Yeah, I'll probably get off here in a bit if nobody else got anything else to talk about. I know there's 24 people in here, but I didn't eat before I came on, so I'm probably gonna get some grub. I might hop. You hopping
No,
back on
Alec
later or
Ingold.
what?
There's another one. Alec Ingold.
Yeah, Alec Ingold was another one.
Yep, yep.
What was the latest one we had? Why can't I think of his damn name? He's still in the building. Like,
That's the one that went
oh,
to Miami, I think.
fucking, what is his name, bro? One of my damn favorite players, and I can't think of his name. I hate getting old, man. This is ridiculous. Golly. Oh man, I don't know, I can't think of it, but he was one of the last running backs, fullbacks we had. I think just a shit, not Tyrone Wheatley, but yeah, man. I mean, we've had some damn good running backs in the history of this franchise, and I think we need to go back to that, smash mouth fullback style. Like, what my man says, it'd be good to see John Snyder GM with Ben Johnson as head coach. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I think to me that's like the dream team, scenario with Brady, Spycheck, and Ben Johnson. Just those minds in the building together would set us up for many, many, many playoff runs. I do believe.
Yeah, I agree. Trying to look up a list here. Let's see what I can pull up. And of course, I'm not fucking finding anything.
Marcel Reese.
That was a while ago, though, wasn't it?
That's what I'm saying. We need another running back like that has speed, that can bulldoze, plow the way, that can catch out of the backfield.
Yeah,
Like that, we need running backs like that. And the man's still in the building. Oh, he just said it as I Bush Reese. That's what Marcel Reese, bro. That's I love. Even Tyrone Wheatley back. When they had him at fullback for a little bit,
oh yeah, yeah.
and I
Shit,
think
was it Zach Crockett was a fullback for us, wasn't he?
yeah, Zach Crockett was also.
I mean,
That
now we're really starting to go. We're starting to fall way
yeah,
back.
yeah, getting deep into the Raider history.
Yeah.
Woo! Boy, gone out of the backfield. Man, another blowout game. Just crazy. Like we see who the powerhouse dominant teams are. The ones with,
Yeah, no shit, right?
the best quarterback, the best running back, and the best defense. And a lot of people talk a lot of shit on Jalen Hurts, but man, the Philadelphia Eagles look scary. When you have a quarterback that can run the RPO like he does, and opens up play action, opens up read options, just opens up throws down the field, like, and he could run the ball.
Yeah,
If he has
yeah,
to, he could be a Saquon Barkley himself. You see the size, the man squats like 550 pounds as a quarterback. So this team is scary, bro. When they got Quinyon Mitchell and uh what's the white corner that they got also in that draft? My goodness, I hate being old, bro. But the
And
white boy corner that they got was, out there playing safety. I believe right now. But yeah, when they got those boys in the draft, I was like, damn, Philadelphia's about to be relevant again. Like because they've always had the offense, but they got Saquon, and then they got those young bucks. I was like, oh
yeah,
my
I'm trying to think of the
goodness,
name you're
bro.
thinking of too. I can see him.
Right? It's the only damn white boy in the draft that played corner.
Hmm.
John Cooper. There you go. Appreciate
Oh
you.
yeah,
Appreciate you.
Cooper. That's it. God
I
damn
don't
it.
know why, man. My brain is like a giant fart. Like it just a brain fart. Every time I try to think of something, it just starts. That hamster wheel starts spinning around. I can't think of shit. So what happens when you get 49?
Mhm. Let me see. What year do we think that was? No, it's not here. Not that one.
Black Ship 2.
Alex Ingold is that's from
Philly's
2019 though.
Philly's nasty, bro. They're gonna be a hard team to beat. Especially that defense keeps playing like that. They got Carter on the front line. Like, man, this team scares me. But I
Yeah,
really, I really
I was kind
believe.
of hoping. I really wanted to see Green Bay win. Well, I mean, a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to see Josh Jacobs go further in the playoffs, and two, my daughter's a Packers fan, so I wouldn't. I'd be okay if they won today. Besides, I don't really like the Eagles anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm not a cheesehead fan, and I like Josh Jacobs, but he's not a Raider no more, and I didn't want to see him win a damn playoff game. I'm glad that they lost. I'm glad that you had to get out of Vegas and you had to go to a team that you thought was going to take you where you wanted to be,
Yeah, yeah,
and it didn't work out, my guy. That's maybe they'll come. Maybe he'll come back. I don't
yeah, yeah.
know. I wouldn't be mad at it. Like they only signed him to what, 2 years, one
You
guaranteed
know
or
what? I don't know
something.
what the contract was.
1
I'm
year
not sure.
guaranteed, 3 year contract, one guaranteed, I think, or something. Maybe I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm not 100% positive. Let me see if I can find that here. I should be able to pull that up on this list.
I'm
Let's
glad
see.
Chargers, Steelers, Bengals. I'm glad they all lost too. Yeah, I'm so glad that this. I ain't got to hear Chargers fans. Was that Quinyon Mitchell with the pick? Speak of the
Yep,
angel,
yep. Well,
Quinny Mitch
32,
in the
33 is
building.
Cooper, isn't he? Oh no.
That's
Oh, Cooper
Quinyon.
DeJean. That's the one. Yeah, Cooper.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody said it in the chat. Cooper just what?
Yeah,
Oh, they did a. He just did the DDT
yeah. That was good. I
or
saw that.
power
That was
driver.
funny.
Well, he did a power driver. That's my guy Quinyon. God, I hate seeing him over there. Yeah, that was the best corner in the draft by far. And if you don't follow my channel, you really should because everybody was talking about Terrion Arnold and Kool Aid, and I was like, bro, those dudes are gonna struggle in the NFL. It's gonna be a long year. But Quinyon Mitchell is gonna be that dude you could start from the jump, and he's gonna be that dude for a long, long time. People thought I was crazy, but here we are. Quinyon Mitchell in the playoffs, make an
Yeah.
interception to seal the deal. Like
Let me see.
Chef.
Yes.
We know what
I'm
Derek
trying to
Carr
bring up.
and Herbert both have
Trying
in
to go
common.
forward here and look at the free agents for running backs. Actually, I should just do it by team.
No, Greg, what do they have in common? No playoff wins?
Yeah, pretty much. Told you he's definitely he's the Chargers version of Derek Carr. Can get you to the playoffs or can get you wins and during the season and everything, but don't count on him winning shit in the playoffs or making the playoffs because he ain't gonna.
I don't think it was Justin Herbert. I hate to say it. I think Justin Herbert showed last week and the week before how they needed to perform in the playoffs, and I think they didn't give him the ability to make plays with his legs, and I think that hurt him. I think they keyed in on Dobbins. I don't know why they didn't. I didn't see Ezekiel Elliott out there. Didn't they just bring in Ezekiel Elliott? Like, you have a man that's been in the playoffs, that's been killing it, and has been there, done that. Why wasn't he in there when you can't run the ball? Like to me,
Yeah. Who took?
The Chargers lost because of their coaching. Like
Where did Elliott went to the Chargers or he went to the Rams?
I thought maybe it was the Rams. I thought it said LA. Maybe I didn't look at it all the way, but it wasn't
I
the
don't.
Rams. I thought
I,
it said the
I think
Chargers,
so. I'm not sure on that.
but if
I
it's the
know. I
Rams,
know they.
bro, if it's the
I know he.
Rams, that
It was.
definitely makes my pick even farther. I think the Rams have a good chance of winning the Super Bowl because once they get in, they're hard to beat, and they got one of the best run games right now with Atkins, whatever the hell his name is. They got Puka Nacua, they got Cooper Cup. Like these fools, they're going to be nasty, bro. And with that defense, and they're on started the season 1-4. Like
Yeah.
The Rams, they're gonna they're gonna surprise some people if they make it out that first round. They're just gonna get better and better. Like, and they got a veteran quarterback, that can pick people apart if you give them time. And that offensive line has been
Yep.
playing decent. Ezekiel Elliott, Chargers. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh, it was
uh,
Dallas? I mean, it
yeah.
was the
So,
Chargers? All right.
So, you had Ezekiel Elliott, you had no run game going, and you didn't even try to get that man involved more. Like that's just bad coaching to me on that part for the Chargers.
I mean, did he even touch the ball?
I don't think he got on. Like, why sign him?
No.
Why bring him in? He no
Yeah,
carries, right?
there's absolutely no stat line for him at all in that game.
Yeah,
Nothing.
that's dumb, bro. That's an AP move. That's an AP move right there.
Yeah,
You
it's
you
an
bring in
inexperienced
a
coach
guy
move, which is
that
I'm
can help your
surprised with
team.
Harbaugh doing that. Damn.
You bring in a guy that that's been there, done that in the playoffs, and you have your number one running back is a UDFA that's never been in a big moment like this, and obviously shit the
Yeah.
bed. And you got a guy that can help you still carry the rock and still perform, still catch the ball out of the backfield. Even why bring him in to not put him in the playoffs? That's crazy, bro.
Well,
How
even
many
today,
playoff wins does the Texans quarterback have already? Two, right? They
two,
lost. They lost in the second round last
two,
year,
two or three.
and this is the first round this year. No, I
Yeah,
think they
it's.
won. They won. They lost in the first round last year, didn't they?
I thought they won that one. I
Sure. Oh
thought they
yeah. So
won
yeah,
both.
they won one, and then they lost the second. Yeah. So two.
So, because
You
they talked about that today too. They said that Justin Herbert. I'm sorry, CJ Stroud has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert
then
has, and
Justin
Herbert's
Herbert.
been in the league for like
Yep.
4 or 5 years.
And that's a guy
And he's
that
made the playoffs, again,
that's a guy that
typical Chargers.
Dave Ziegler wanted to draft when he was a GM,
Mhm.
and Dick Daniels vetoed it. So I'm surprised that guy's not getting a look anywhere. I thought Dave Ziegler did a hell of a job. Like if we would have picked the picks that he wanted, that didn't get vetoed by Dick Daniels, this team would have been way better. And
Big
I think they
Daniel.
did him wrong because they brought him in as a package deal, letting him go. I thought if they would have kept him with Antonio Pierce or,
Yeah.
even with Champ Kelly, I think that the year would have been so much different. What else we got on here? But yeah, the Chargers losing is a great day in the nation. The Donkeys losing, another great day in the neighborhood, Mister
Yes,
Rogers
sir.
neighborhood. I'm gonna do one of those skits since my Mister Rogers neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood,
Yep. Now we're just gonna make it 3-4 next week. That's all. KC to go
right?
down. So bad. I hate them so much.
Who wins tonight? What is the next game?
Game tonight is Washington at Tampa Bay.
Oh, can't wait to see that. Shit, I'm glad I'm getting off of here. I can watch that. I didn't get to pay
Yep.
attention
It
to this one at
starts at
all.
8 o'clock and it's on NBC. It's the Sunday night game.
Yeah, that's gonna be a
Football night in
dogfight, bro.
America.
I'm I don't usually root for people that don't play for the Raiders, but something about Baker Mayfield, I just dug that dude since he
Yeah,
was
I
in
agree.
Texas. You know,
I'm taking Tampa Bay on that one.
he was just one of those guys that at Texas Tech I thought was killed my Razorbacks. I hated that shit, but I just thought he, one of those quarterbacks drafted to a franchise that he never really got a shot, and then, traded to another franchise, just never really got a shot, and then goes to the Rams, beats us after reading the playbook on the plane, like,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
comes back and
exactly,
beats
right?
us.
You fucking
Like,
kidding me?
before he went to the Rams, I was like, bro, why don't the Raiders go pick this guy up? And to think of the failures in the past that the Raiders have had, you could have went and got a guy like a Baker Mayfield for $4 million 2 years ago. Four
And
million
that would have
dollars,
fixed that. That should have fixed that quarterback problem right there.
$4 fucking million, and we paid Garner Minshew guaranteed $15 million, $24 million for 2 years. A second
To,
year, he's
to
not even going to play, and we could have
yeah,
had Baker
totally
Mayfield
stuck
for
and not do
4 mil.
anything.
And
Yeah,
everybody told me you're stupid. We never get Baker Mayfield. And I even said last year, go get Baker Mayfield. Pay him the 30 mil. He's worth 30 mil, bro. We paid again Gardner Minshew 25 million for 2 years. We could have paid 5 more million and had Baker Mayfield. Now, could we have got him to come here? Who knows? But if you would have thrown him another 5 mil, I mean, with Devontae Adams and the weapons we had at the time, I don't see why he would not come here. So, again, the failures that upper management continues to do, hopefully those days are in the past and we can move on from that shit. But if you
yeah,
ain't got anything else, man, I'm gonna get off here.
yeah. I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna grab something to eat, chill, start watching this game. I might come back on later on tonight. I'm not sure yet.
Let me read the rest of these last chats and then we'll get off.
Just, I gotta keep grinding.
Keep grinding, right?
Yeah.
I'd trade Max Crosby to get the Lions first round and grab Abdul Carter and then try to get Jackson Dart.
Two first rounders. I'm not letting him go for anything less than two.
Jalen Monroe's too big of a project. If you want a running back, draft a running back, bro. Like simple as that. Jalen Milroe is gonna take Jordan Love's type shit 3 years before that dude can grasp the speed of the NFL. He
Yeah.
can't see defenders in a zone. He's horrible in the zone. You can't play in the NFL if you can't read zone defense, bro. Like you're gonna get murdered. So Jalen Milroe is out of the question. Jackson
I'm
Dart,
good.
I would 100% go get Jackson
Yeah,
Dart in a
I'm
minute.
I'm good with a dual Carter and Jackson Dot. Round
But
one,
yeah,
round two.
Abdul Carter's definitely. But man, I'm not trading Max for no less than two first rounds plus. Like plus, there's got to be a third, a fourth, something in there, and probably two somethings in there.
Yeah,
I mean, damn, we know what Max brings to the table. He just hasn't had any pieces around him. What
that
else?
true. True.
Commanders lose. Yep, I hope so. Take it easy, nation. All right. Appreciate y'all.
All right.
Everyone pulling up. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow.
Yeah, hit us both up.
We out as always. Raiders.
Raiders. Later, guys. Have a good night.
Let's go.